Chapter 4897. The three most miserable men. Xue Wuji felt that the three of them were most likely the most miserable men in the world. This was all because of that fucking owner of the God and Devil Temple. He did not know what kind of deep hatred he had with this facial paralysis. He actually chased after him from one continent to another. If this facial paralysis was not a pervert, he would have died a long time ago. As for him, the reason why he had been accompanying Di Biming was naturally because he was a hero who was loyal to the heavens. He could not just watch as the facial paralysis was killed. Cough cough. He would never admit that he was trying his best to become stronger, so that he could see that woman, pervert, and wolf again. Also, his seal should have something to do with the demon race. If he did not follow this facial paralysis to the peak of this world, he would not even have a place to stand on the 3,000 continents, not to mention living a shameless life with women, perverts, and wolves. When Xue Wuji thought of that woman, pervert, and wolf, his face couldn't help but heat up. It wasn't until the voice transmission talisman in his hand trembled again that he remembered that he still hadn't replied to Yun Chujio. He picked up the voice transmission talisman and pretended to be relaxed. Little sister Jiao, that expressionless man has something urgent to do and has gone to another continent. Don't worry, everything is fine. A moment later, Yun Chujio sent him another voice transmission talisman. Xue Wuji sent his divine sense in, and Yun Chujio's cold laughter came from inside. Brother Wuji, do you think I'm stupid? Tell me, what's going on? Xue Wuji immediately grinned. He finally understood why Di Biming wanted to block the voice transmission talisman. Little sister Jiao was a shrewd person. This lie could not fool her at all. He thought for a moment and then said, "It's not a big deal. It's just that the cold-faced poison offender did not want you to worry. You also know that the Divine Devil Hall wants to capture you and threaten him. You staying in the Lan family peacefully is the best choice." After a long while, Yun Chujio's voice came from the voice transmission talisman again. "Okay, I got it. You guys have to be careful." Xue Wuji was stunned. Little sister Jiao was actually so easy to talk to. Was it over just like that? He was about to complain to Enfeng when his expression changed. He and Enfeng immediately carried Di Biming and ran into the distance. Xue Wuji smiled bitterly in his heart. It would have been fine if this facial paralysis did not get sick, but this illness of his was going to kill him. He was afraid that he would have to run for his life these days. Almost as soon as the three of them disappeared, hundreds of people rushed to the place where they had stopped and chased after them. On the other side, Yun Chujio looked at the voice transmission talisman in her hand and did not move for a long time. She was not a 3-year-old child. Although Xue Wuji said it lightly, she knew that if the situation was not critical, the gigolo would not hide it from her and deliberately ignore her voice transmission talisman. Not only could she not help at all, but she also wanted the gigolo to be distracted by her. However, if there was no lightning strike, she would not be able to quickly increase her spiritual power, no matter how anxious she was. This was the two sides of the coin. Although the heavenly thunder spirit route brought her a lot of convenience, it also had many restrictions. The most fatal point was that it caused a thunderstorm. For a moment, Yun Chujio's heart was in a mess. Even though she was happy and optimistic, the current situation was bleak. The pretty boy was in a critical situation. Her parents were trapped in the Zen sect. There was even someone behind the Zen sect. Although she could be alive and kicking in the Lan family for the time being, this was because the old fox of the Lan family had other plans for her. Once she was no longer useful, he would probably hand her over to the Divine Devil Hall in exchange for benefits. Chapter 4898. This female devil really knew how to play. Although she was a ghost ancestor and a demon ancestor, those were all matters of her previous life. She was now a trash. Her current spiritual power was only at the 9th layer of the quietness of the soul. She was simply a weakling. The talismans and pills in her hands could only be considered low-grade. Those silly cuties were all very well known, but they were a bunch of good-looking but useless trash. The only decent Dahua was missing, and the newly transformed Goei Batsao made her even more depressed. Hei Xinjiu hugged her knees, thinking about these things in a daze. She felt unprecedentedly lost. How could she break through this layer of darkness? The stupid cuties were connected with Yin Chujia's spiritual sense. They could feel her low mood, and they all became depressed. Of course, Buddha's candle was the only exception. This fellow had signed a contract with Yin Chujio because of the situation. Seeing her low spirits, he was gloating over her misfortune. Damn it, I told you to be so arrogant and shameless in your past life. You finally got your comeuppance, didn't you? Ha ha ha. It was so satisfying. It pretended to comfort her. Don't be too discouraged. Who knows when you'll regain the strength of your previous life. After all, you were so awesome in your previous life. The reason it said that was to rub salt on Yin Chujia's wound. However, it made Yin Chujia's eyes light up. Xiao Chouzhu was right. As long as she could find a way to break the seal in her body, she would be able to solve the big problem. Even if she could not find a way to break the seal, it would be fine if she could recover the memories of her previous life. Perhaps she had hidden some treasures, or knew some heaven-defying cultivation method in her previous life. That way, she would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Then the question came, how could she break the seal in her body or recover her memories? Clown Candle, tell me about my past life. Yin Chujio felt that listening more might be helpful in recovering her memories. Buddha's candle did not expect that she would actually lift a stone and hit her own foot. She did not want to say anything, but she was afraid that she would be punished, so she could only say dryly, I've slept for too long, so there's a limit to what I can remember. All I remember is that you came out of nowhere. Once you arrived at the Bitter Zen sect, you disliked the name of the Bitter Zen sect, so you forcefully erased the word bitter. Those monks tried to reason with you, but you beat them up, and even made them wear women's clothes and sing for you. In the end, you said that their singing wasn't good, so you snatched the dawn bell and the sunset wooden fish. What happened after that? Yin Chujio touched her nose guiltily. Her previous life was really awesome. After that? How would I know what happened after that? You plucked out my candle wick, and I went into hibernation at that time. Buddha's candle said snappily. Hei Shinjo coughed dryly, and did not continue to ask Buddha's candle. Instead, she opened the isolation array and released Qi-Ying. Qi-Ying had not been released for a long time. He was on the verge of crying. He saw Buddha's candle floating not far away from him, and was dumbfounded. You snatched the Buddha's candle from the Zen sect? Yin Chujio curled her lips. It was it who wanted to follow me. Qi-Ying pursed his lips. He did not believe it. Yin Chujio, when are you going to find me a human body? If you continue to brush me off, I will fight you to the death. Qi-Ying had enough of those stupid and cute bullies. It was worse than death. The wick of the Buddha's candle flickered. Oh my, this rabbit was actually possessed by someone? TSK, this female devil really knew how to play. Chapter 4899 was also initiated by her in her previous life. Yin Chujio did not answer Qi-Ying's question. Instead, she said, Tell me about the ghost ancestor. Qi-Ying snapped. How would I know? I'm not someone from 10,000 years ago. Yin Chujio narrowed her eyes. You told me last time that the gigolo and I had feelings for each other in the Chongsha continent. Could it be that you lied to me before? Qi-Ying choked. I heard about these things from others. It was said that you appeared out of nowhere and acted wantonly in the Chongsha continent. It was simply glorious. Later on, for some unknown reason, your spiritual power was damaged. The forces that you offended all wanted to kill you, but you clung onto the Lord's thigh. Those forces had no choice but to give up. I only know so much. You can believe it or not. Yin Chujio was speechless when she heard that. So in her previous life, she had also taken the initiative to latch onto the leg of a gigolo. Of course, Yin Chujio did not believe that Qi-Ying only knew so much. However, she also knew that if she pushed him too hard, this fellow might have a life and death struggle. So she did not continue to ask. However, she did not expect Qi-Ying to take the initiative to say, I heard that you guys almost traveled through the entire Chongsha continent back then. If you go out for a walk, you might be able to recover your memories. Yin Chujio's lips curled into a cold smile. Qi-Ying had already instigated her to leave the Lan family for the second time. Don't think that she did not know what he was planning. He just wanted her to escape from the Lan family's protection, so that she could be captured by the Divine Devil Hall. Thinking of this, Yin Chujio remembered a question that she had overlooked. She suddenly asked, Qiying, your Divine Devil Hall's lair is not in the Chongshao continent, right? Or do you mean that you've never been to the so-called lair? I don't understand what you are talking about, Qiying said with a twinkle in his eyes. Yin Chujio sneered. She had neglected this problem before. Now that she thought about it, if the Divine Devil Hall's lair was in the Chongshao continent, why would they be afraid of the Zen sect and the Lan family? They would have taken her away long ago. Moreover, it seemed that Qi Ying's status in the Divine Devil Hall was not that great. Although he was a purple-masked man, he was probably one of those who had been ostracized. Otherwise, he would not have been tricked into staying in the 10,000 Ghost Cave for more than 10 years. Yin Chujio blinked her eyes and said with a sneer, Brother Qiying, I actually quite sympathize with you. When Qiying heard the words Brother Qiying, he could not help but shudder. This darn girl must be up to something again. What do you sympathize with me for? Don't look at me now that I've fallen into your hands. HMPH, it's not certain who will be the victor in the future. Qiying said with a stern expression. Nonsense, nonsense. I'm a dignified purple-masked man, who dares to ostracize me. If you weren't ostracized, why would it be your turn to go to the ghost region for such a difficult task? Don't you know what kind of days you're living in the Myriad Ghosts Cave? Perhaps your body has already been destroyed by someone. They have no intention of letting you come back at all. Yin Chujio gloated. Qiying's pair of rabbit eyes became even redder. Impossible. We are all working for the master. Even if there are some disagreements, they wouldn't do this. All right, since you are lying to yourself, then just pretend that I didn't say anything. Don't worry, I always keep my word. When the time is right, I will naturally help you find a human body and set you free, Yin Chujio said with a smile. Buddha's candle, who was at the side, cursed in his heart. You keep your word. Liar. Chapter 4900. Rising anger. Qiying was distracted by Yin Chujio's words, so he ignored Yin Chujio's words. Yin Chujio pursed her lips. It seemed like she was right. Qiying must have been ostracized in the Divine Devil Hall. As long as she simmered him down, she would bring him over sooner or later. Yin Chujio put Qiying back into her spirit beast pouch and sighed. It seemed like there was no quick fix. Fortunately, Mount Meru would be struck by lightning again in half a month. She would think of a way to absorb more lightning then. That night, He Xinjiu tossed and turned. She only fell asleep in a daze when it was almost dawn. Hongling saw that she would be late for class if she didn't wake He Xinjiu up, so she summoned her courage to wake Yin Chujio up. He Xinjiu's face was so gloomy that it was frightening. Hongling didn't even dare to breathe. She had seen people who were angry when they woke up, but her miss was getting more and more angry when she woke up. When Lan Luofeng came over and saw He Xinjiu like this, she shrank her neck and did not dare to say anything. The two of them went to the training hall of the ancestral residence in silence. Yin Chujio was sleeping soundly on the table. Guest Elder Shi coughed a few times, but He Xinjiu did not respond. Guest Elder Shi said angrily, Yin Chujio, come to the front. Lan Luofeng quickly and carefully woke He Xinjiu up. Little Jiu, Mr. Shi wants you to come to the front. He Xinjiu walked to the front with a gloomy face. When Kusur Shi saw her gloomy face, he could not help but get even angrier. Well, he actually blamed him for delaying her sleep. This was too outrageous. Yin Chujio, more than a month has passed in the blink of an eye. How's the transformation of your auxiliary spiritual beast? Show it to me. Kusur Shi said with a gloomy face. Although Yin Chujio was in a bad mood, she would not vent her anger on Mr. Shi. To be honest, Mr. Shi was not bad, but he was a little rigid. She agreed and began to gesture. She could gesture for a long time, but nothing came out. Mr. Shi became even angrier when he saw this. Yin Chujio, have you been slacking off? Otherwise, even if you can't successfully transform, you should at least improve. I'll give you another chance. If you still can't transform into a supplementary spirit beast half a month later, I can only report it to the old ancestor truthfully. Yun Chujia's little heart even fluttered a little when she heard the first part of the sentence. But when she heard the last part, she immediately put her heart back into her stomach. If you're willing to tell me, then so be it. It's not like that old fox doesn't know about her. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not seem to care, guest elder Shur added, after class, go and cut down an immortal tree. Guest elder Shur waved his hand and chased this fellow back to his seat. He felt that if he continued talking, he would die of anger. After class, Hei Shinjo did not go and cut down the immortal tree. Instead, she continued to lie on the table and sleep soundly. Lan Luofeng could only watch from the side bitterly. Seeing this, Lan Luoyen and the others started to ridicule her. What a pig! She only knows how to eat and sleep all day long. With her current state, she can't even compare to Sister Xian's finger. Exactly. Sister Xian is at the 6th level of the extreme spiritual stage. She is only at the 9th level of the nirvana stage, not to mention her family background. She actually dares to snatch a man from Sister Xian. She really overestimates herself. Maybe she used some unspeakable means to seduce Lan Luochen. How shameless. While they were talking happily, they suddenly shivered because they felt a thick killing intent. Chapter 49:01 was too brutal. Lan Luofeng felt a shadow flash by her side, and then she heard the screams of Lan Luofeng and the others. She focused her eyes and saw that Yun Chujio was holding Lan Luoyen in her left hand and Lan Luomei in her right hand. It was as if she was clapping her hands, knocking the two of them together. Yes, face to face. In a moment, the bridge of Lan Luoyen and Lan Luomei's noses were broken. Their faces were covered in blood, and their shrill screams made people's hair stand on end. Yun Chujio frowned and threw her hands. Lan Luoyen and Lan Luomei crashed into the wall and passed out. Whoever disturbs my sleep again will end up like them. Hei Shinjo went back to her seat and fell asleep again. Everyone looked at each other. They were too fucking brutal. In the blink of an eye, Lan Luoyen and Lan Luomei were caught by her. Moreover, Lan Luoyen and Lan Luomei's cultivation was higher than hers. How did she do it? Everyone had different feelings, but no one dared to provoke Yun Chujio. Only a few people who were close to Lan Luoyen carried her, and Lan Luomei out of the training hall. Lan Luofeng, on the other hand, was guarding Yun Chujio by the side. She was glad that she did not provoke this fiend in the morning. Her morning anger was too scary. Hei Shinjo slept until evening before she opened her eyes and stretched. Lan Luofeng saw that she had returned to her usual appearance and said, "Little Jio, you're so scary when you wake up. You're like a completely different person." Yun Chujio's stretching movements slowed down. She recalled what had happened before. Although her memory was still there, it was a little blurry. It seemed to be similar to how she had unsealed the seal after being strongly stimulated in the past. Could it be that this lack of sleep could also stimulate her potential? If that was really the case, this was a good idea. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not reply, Lan Luofeng continued to say, "Mr. Shur is punishing you to cut down an immortal tree. Let's go, I'll go with you." Yun Chujio nodded and absent-mindedly followed Lan Luofeng to the spot where the immortal tree was cut down. Hei Shinjo had the experience from last time. A moment later, she had cut down an undying wood. And in a blink of an eye, she had cut down 3 more in succession. Lan Luofeng looked baffled. "Little Jio, Mr. Shur only punished you to cut down 1 tree. Why did you cut down so many trees?" "Save them for later, in case I have to come back again. This is called being prepared," Hei Shinjo said with a smile. The guard guarding the immortal wood. After Hei Shinjo received the wooden token, the two of them walked back while chatting and laughing. Lan Luofeng cursed in her heart. Little Jio was like a completely different person. She was like a god of death before, but now she was laughing and laughing. Could it be that she had some kind of disease? The two of them walked for some distance, but they were stopped by a group of people. Lan Luoyen's face was bandaged like a pig's head. She gnashed her teeth and said, "Yun Chujio, you hit me. Are you going to let it go just like that? I'd rather be punished and I'll kill you today. All of you attack. Leave Lan Luofeng alive and kill this Yun Chujio." Lan Luofeng's expression changed. This Lan Luoyan was clearly completely angered by little Jiao. Otherwise, she wouldn't have used such a desperate method. Just as Yun Chujio was about to let them taste the chili noodles, she heard someone say softly, "Sister Luoyan, quickly stop." Following the voice, a group of people walked over from afar. The leader was Mu Zian. Chapter 4902. You are not thin-skinned. When Lan Luoyan saw that it was Mu Zian, she could not help but cry and said, "Sister Zian, this bitch beat me up for no reason. I'm really angry. Sister Yin has always been naughty. I'll let her apologize to you." Mu Zian comforted her. "Sister Yin, give me some thin-skinned face and apologize to Sister Luoyan immediately. Then this matter will be over. How about it?" Mu Zian looked at Yin Chujio and said with a faint smile. Yin Chujio curled the corners of her lips. "You are not a face, hee." Mu Zian was stunned at first. Then she became angry out of embarrassment. If she said that she was not a face, then was she mocking her for being thick-skinned? This damn bitch. "Sister Yun, I was kind enough to mediate for you. It's fine if you don't appreciate my kindness, but why did you hurl such hurtful words at me?" Mu Zian said with a tone that was just right. She glanced into the distance. She had seen cousin Luochen earlier, so he must be able to hear their conversation. Then, she would show him what kind of person he liked. Yun Chujio. "Sister Zian, I said that you are not a person with a thin face. I meant that you have a lot of face. How could you hurtful words at me?" Yun Chujio looked innocent. "You." Mu Zian was so angry that she choked. This bitch was really sharp-tongued. Yun Chujio's smile became even brighter. She glanced at Lan Luoyan and said, "Forget it. Since Sister Zian has such a lot of face, I won't argue with her. Sister Luofeng, let's go." Yun Chujio dragged Lan Luofeng and was about to leave. Just as Lan Luofeng was about to go forward, she was stopped by Mu Zian with her eyes. She could only watch as Yun Chujio and Lan Luofeng left. Lan Luoyan was furious, but she did not dare to lash out at Mu Zian. Mu Zian said gently, "Sister Luoyan, you are sisters. Why do you have to make things so difficult? Besides, cousin said that Sister Yin is his person, so you should not find trouble with her." Her words were naturally meant for Lan Luochen, who was not far away. With this comparison, he would know who was more suitable to be his wife. However, when she looked out of the corner of her eye, Lan Luchen's shadow was nowhere to be seen. He must have gone to chase after Yin Chujio. Mu Zian's hands were tightly clasped together as she gritted her teeth. Good, very good. Then, she would think of a way to kill that slut. She walked up to Lan Luoyan and lowered her voice as she said, "Sister Luoyan, you want to kill Yin Chujio in such a high-profile manner. Let's not talk about whether you will be punished or not. There are people coming and going here, and it's not far from the third concubine. You can't kill her at all. Then let's just let it go. That bitch has repeatedly humiliated me. I really can't take this lying down," Lan Luoyan said through gritted teeth. Lan Luoyan's eyes lit up. If she could do this, it would be for the best. Not only could she take revenge, but she could also be in the limelight. It couldn't be better. She was about to ask what method to use, but Mu Zian gave her a look. The two of them immediately brought people back to the main room to discuss. On the other side, Yin Chujio and Lan Luofeng didn't walk far before Lan Luochen chased after them. "Little Jiao, I have something important to tell you," Lan Luochen said with a serious expression. "What is it?" "I'm in a hurry to go back and have dinner. If you have something to say it quickly. If you have something to say it quickly," He Xinjiu said in a bad mood. Chapter 4903. Yuan Ji. Lan Luchen's expression froze for a moment. Then he said, "I'm going to leave for a period of time, but I'll leave Yuan Ji behind to protect you. You have to be careful." Yin Chujia's eyes suddenly lit up. "You're going to leave? Are you never coming back?" Lan Luchen's heart ached. Did she really not want to see him? Yin Chujio saw that his expression was dark and gloomy. She thought to herself not to anger him. It would be bad if he didn't leave, so she said, "I mean, how long are you going to be gone?" Also, Yuanji doesn't need to stay for me. It's better to follow and protect you. I can protect myself. When Lan Luochen heard this, a faint smile appeared on his face. I'll be back soon. At most 3 months, at least 1 month. I have other people to protect me. Yuanji will stay here to protect you. Little Jiao, when I come back, I'll ask our ancestor to agree to our marriage. Yin Chujiao interrupted impatiently. I'm still waiting to go back for dinner. I don't have time to listen to your nonsense. Big cousin, have a safe trip. Goodbye. He Xinjiao dragged the dazed Lan Luofang and ran away. Lan Luochen was sad, helpless, and reluctant. In the end, he sighed. Yuanji, who was standing at the side, felt as if his heart was broken. He tried to hold it in, but he still couldn't hold it in. Pavilion Master, you'd better let me go with you. Yin Chujiao was in the Lan family. As long as she didn't do anything evil, there was no danger. Moreover, she has a belly full of evil water. It might not be anyone's bad luck. Lan Luochen glanced at him. Go to the 3rd room now to look for little Jiao. You must stay by her side to protect her. If anything happens to little Jiao, it'll take your life. After saying this, Lan Luochen turned around and left. Yuanji was so angry that he was twitching. He was considered to have a good temper, but he was simply about to be angered to the point of collapse by the pavilion master. What was so good about that damned girl that she actually caused him to be so deranged? Yuanji gritted his teeth, but he still accepted his fate and went to the 3rd room. I request to see Yin Chu, young mistress, Yuanji said to the guard guarding the door. The guard did not dare to be negligent and immediately reported it to Yin Chujiao. Yuanji was so angry that he gritted his teeth. However, when he recalled what Lan Luochen said before he left, he had no choice but to give the guard some spirit stones and let him report back. Unfortunately, the reply he received was still that Miss didn't have time to see him. Yuanji was both angry and anxious. He finally thought of an idea. He gritted his teeth and said, "Tell Miss that I owed her 10,000 high-grade spirit stones back then. This time, I'm here to return the money." After a while the guard replied, "Miss Yuan said that you owe her 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones. If the money is not enough, you don't have to pay her back for the time being." Yuanji was so angry that his head was buzzing. Good, very good. This wretched girl was getting more and more greedy. Finally, Yuanji finally met He Xinjiao at the price of 100,000 spiritual stones. He Xinjiao tossed the spiritual stones in her hand with a smile and said to Yuanji, whose face was livid, "Yuanji, are you feeling aggrieved now?" "Ha! Yuanji, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to this iron rooster. Sai, actually we are in the same boat. I don't want to have anything to do with Lan Luochen, and you don't want Lan Luochen to get along with me. So we should cooperate well. Why do you have to treat me as your enemy?" Thinking back, in the East Phoenix country, Imperial Preceptor Yuanji was a handsome middle-aged uncle. How come he has become a resentful wife now? Yin Chujiao said with a chuckle. Chapter 4904 was her. It was her. It was her. Yuanji snorted coldly and cursed in his heart. Who was the main culprit that he had become like this? It was her. It was her. It was her. If it wasn't for her turning the wise and wise pavilion master into a madman, would he need to put in so much effort? Yin Chujiao saw that Yuanji didn't say anything and continued. "Since we have the same goal, then we are comrades to a certain extent, so you don't have to be so hostile to me. Besides, if you put aside the fact that you're Lan Luchen's subordinate, it's not a problem for me to treat him like this. It's his wishful thinking and forcing others to do so. What I'm doing is just to protect myself." Yuanji snorted again, but he still didn't say anything. "If I can get Lan Luochen to get rid of his obsession, it would be a great thing for me and you, so I hope you can cooperate with me." Before Yin Chujiao could finish her sentence, Yuanji interrupted her. "My mission is to protect you temporarily. I'm not interested in anything else." After Yuanji finished speaking, he found an empty room and went in. Apparently, he had no intention of continuing the conversation with Yin Chujiao. He Xinjiao pursed her lips. "Little girl, let's wait and see." In the Lan family's ancestral house, in the study room of the Lan family's ancestor, An old man wearing a mask asked in puzzlement. Master, why did you ask someone to bring Mu Zian here? Master, you asked someone to bring Mu Zian here, so that she could cultivate a relationship with young Master Luo Chen. Why did you send young Master Luo Chen away again? The Lan family's patriarch took a sip of tea and then said, We can't delay Luo Chen's injury any longer. He can completely recover there. Besides, with him around, that girl of the Mu family can't use any means to deal with that troublemaker. Only by sending him away can we have a good show. The old man was Master having a stroke. The old ancestor of the Lan family continued. Besides, after the incident in the Zen sect, I found out that that troublemaker has many secrets. However, this girl is too shrewd. Only by putting her in danger can her true strength be revealed. If we don't send the Fallout Kid away, how can we force her to reveal her true strength? The old man asked with some worry. However, what about the Divine Devil Hall? They have already urged you twice. If you don't hand Yin Chujio over to them, I'm afraid they will fall out with each other. The Lan family's patriarch snorted coldly. They are just shouting happily. With the support of the Zen sect, they don't dare to openly fall out with each other. Moreover, according to the investigation, most of the people of the Divine Devil Hall have gathered in the wilderness recently. They can't take care of this little girl at the moment. Who exactly is he? Why did the Divine Devil Hall go through so much trouble to kill him? The old ancestor of the Lan family shook his head. The Divine Devil Hall has always been secretive. The reason why they cooperated with them last time was because their conditions were generous enough. I always feel that there should be a big secret hidden in this. That's why I want to keep that troublemaker. Let's wait and see. There's no rush. When the Lan family's ancestor said this, he suddenly frowned. The old man immediately nodded, and his figure flashed, and he had already arrived outside the study. However, he looked around and did not find any suspicious people. He only saw a few long-winged fireflies that were commonly seen in the heavy cloud continent on the tree in the courtyard. Although there were beast controllers in the heavy cloud continent, these long-winged fireflies had a strong temperament. No one had ever successfully tamed them. Therefore, the old man only took a few glances before turning around and entering the study. Chapter 4905. She was going to help the gigolo, master. There is nothing unusual, the old man said respectfully. The Lan family's ancestor nodded. His courtyard was heavily guarded, so he must have been suspicious. The two chatted for a while, and then the old man left. At the same time, one of the long-winged fireflies on the tree flapped its wings and left the ancestral house, flying to He Xinjia's house. This long-winged firefly was caught by Yin Chujio a few days ago, so she did not have much hope. After all, the Lan family's ancestors' cultivation was too strong. She did not expect to really get useful information this time. When He Xinjiu heard the news it sent back, her eyes flashed. Wild Hope Wilderness. It seemed that the gigolo and the others were trapped there. She recalled the records about the Wild Hope Wilderness that she had read in the library and made a decision. She wanted to go to the Wild Hope Wilderness to help the pretty boy and the rest. If it were any other place, she would not go and cause trouble. But the Wild Hope Wilderness, the scum of the Divine Devil Hall, you deserve your bad luck. However, she had to wait for an opportunity to leave the Lan family. This opportunity was the heavenly thunder that would strike Mount Sumeru in 10 days. At that time, not only would she be able to increase her spiritual power, she could also take advantage of this opportunity to escape from the Lan family's surveillance. Of course, after helping the pretty boy and the others escape, she still had to return to the Lan family. After all, this place was safer than other places. The main purpose of her trip this time was also to help the pretty boy treat the cold poison. At the very least, her blood was still effective against the cold poison in his body. At the very least, she could even kiss him on the lips. Perhaps she could let the Guaichao seduce some of the cold poison in his body. After Yun Chujio made up her mind, she felt that the depression she had been feeling for the past few days had dissipated a lot, and she fell asleep soundly. In the next few days, everything went as usual. Lan Luoyan did not find trouble with Yin Chujio again, and the Lan family's sect competition had begun again. Yin Chujio was not interested in this competition at all. She was just waiting for the heavenly thunder to come, so that she could take the opportunity to go to the wilderness. She was not interested, but there were people who were interested in her. Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu had been defeated by her last time, and they were both trying their best to take revenge. There was also Lan Luoji. Last time, he was tricked by her with 50 spiritual stones. He hated her to death. As for Lan Luoyan, she wanted to kill him. Therefore, after Elder Ning announced the start of the competition, the four of them challenged Yin Chujio. The problem was that one person could only fight two people. Only two of the four people had the chance to fight Yin Chujio. The crowd was so angry that their noses almost went crooked. It was the first time they heard of a competition. At this moment Mu Zian said gently, "Cousin Luo Cheng, your cultivation level is much higher than Sister Yun's. Let Luo Yin compete with her." When Lan Luoqing heard this, he was immediately overwhelmed by the favor and said, "Since Sister Zian has said so, let's do as you say." Lan Luomu glanced at Lan Luoji, and Lan Luoji tactfully withdrew. He was just a bastard son. How would he dare to go against Lan Luomu? Lan Luoyan was the first to step onto the stage, her face full of pride. She was going to teach this bitch a lesson today, and it was all her own fault. Seeing that Yin Chujio was dawdling for a long time and did not step onto the stage, she said impatiently, "Yin Chujio, come up quickly." Chapter 4906. Infuriating Yin Chujio looked at Lan Luoyan with a smile and said, "Lan Luoyan, you've made a mistake. You can challenge me, but I won't accept the challenge. Don't you think it's infuriating?" She glanced at Lan Luoyan and Mu Zian. These two bastards must have thought of some bad idea to deal with her. She heard that the Mu family was good at refining pills, and the Lan family's competition did not prohibit the use of talismans and poisons. They probably wanted to poison her to death, right? TSK, how naive. Lan Luoyan was so angry that her head was buzzing. That's right. The family's competition only needed to compete with two people in the end. There was no rule that required one to accept a challenge. So, she had been busy for so many days in vain. At this moment, Yin Chujio said with a smile, "How about this? If you give me 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, I'll agree to compete with you. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it." Lan Luoyan was so angry that she almost fell off the stage. How shameless. She had never seen such a shameless person. She was about to refuse when she saw Mu Zian wink at her. She remembered that she had made all the necessary preparations. Even if she wasted 100,000 high-grade spirit stones, it would still be worth it. So she said, "Okay, I promise you. Then you transfer the money to me first, then I'll go on stage. I'm afraid that you won't admit it." Yin Chujio said with a smile. Lan Luoyan had no choice but to transfer the spirit stones to Yin Chujio. Then after a long while, Yin Chujio didn't go on stage. She urged her in a bad mood. "Yin Chujio, you've already accepted my spirit stones. Do you want to go back on your word? Come on up quickly." "Sister Luoyan, I want you to stand on the stage for a while longer. After all, if I go up, I will kick you off the stage in less than 10 moves," Yin Chujio said with a smile. "Yin Chujio, stop talking nonsense. If you don't come up, you will lose." Lan Luoyan said angrily, "Okay, then I admit defeat. Elder Ning, did you hear that?" Lan Luoyan agreed that I admit defeat. "So I admit defeat," He Xinjiu said with a smile. Elder Ning immediately announced, "Lan Luoyan, the eldest son, wins." Lan Luoyan. Her heart was like a dog that was bawling. She had prepared for more than 10 days, and in the end it was over. She didn't want a victory, okay? She wanted that bitch's life. The most infuriating thing was that she even gave that bitch 100,000 spiritual stones. It was infuriating. Mu Zian was also furious. Was this Lan Luoyan a fool? Why did she have to say such words? Now all her previous preparations were in vain. Lan Luofeng gritted her teeth and looked at Lan Luofeng, who was beside Yin Chujio. Since there was no way to deal with that Yin Chujio, she would let Lan Luofeng take the blame for her. Thus she said, Lan Luofeng, I challenge you. Lan Luofeng remembered what Yin Chujio said to her and said indifferently, I won't accept your challenge. You can find someone else. Lan Luofeng was so angry that she almost died. Ever since Lan Luofeng followed this Yin Chujio, she became more and more shameless. Lan Luofeng said a few harsh words, but Lan Luofeng remembered what Yin Chujio said. People were shameless and invincible. She thought that Lan Luofeng was just barking like a dog and wouldn't accept the challenge no matter what. In the end, Lan Luoyan had to find someone else to compete. Although she won 2 matches in the end, she was still so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. Chapter 4907 Fell asleep. Yin Chujio looked at the twisted faces of Mu Zian and Lan Luoyan, and her heart was bursting with joy. These 2 idiots still wanted to scheme against her? In your dreams. However, this guy immediately slapped his thigh. Oh no, she was only focused on teasing Lan Luoyan. She did not go on stage just now, and in the end, she might have to face Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu again. Wasn't she making herself uncomfortable? Although she was not afraid of them, it was a little difficult without exposing the secret. Xiao Hanio's curse could only be used to deal with one person. What about the other person? She suddenly thought of Buddha's candle. In the Zen sect, Buddha's candle could take over another person's body. If it took over Lan Lucheng's or Lan Luma's body, wouldn't everything be fine? This fellow thought again. No, if that was the case, the ancestor of the Lan family would definitely not let her off. She had to think of another way. At this moment, Buddha's candle said weakly, I have to make one thing clear first. The Zen sect has psyche power, and those monks practice Buddhist power. So I can easily take over those monks' bodies. But outside I probably can't. Yin Chujio. It was nothing. It was really nothing. She was already used to it. No matter how good a treasure was, it would be useless to her. Although Hei Xinjiu comforted herself like this, she was still half-dead angry. The strong resentment scared Lan Luofeng, who was beside her. Little Jiu, you didn't sleep well yesterday again? Hei Xinjiu's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, she could try to wake up angry. Maybe she could kill everyone. It just so happened that there were more people in the family competition this time than last time. So there was no way she could finish the competition in a day. As long as she waited until dawn before sleeping, she could totally use her anger to teach them a lesson. The more she thought about it, the more beautiful she became. She immediately said to Lan Luofeng with a smile, Sister Luofeng, you are really my little lucky star. Lan Luofeng. Little Jiu is acting up again, isn't he? Everyone tacitly did not challenge Yin Chujio again. They wanted to leave her to Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu. Although there was still Lan Luohan in the 3rd branch, everyone did not think highly of him. As time passed, the sky gradually darkened, but the competition was still going on. Hei Xinjiu yawned as she watched, reminding herself in her heart that she could not sleep. She could not sleep. She had to wait until dawn to sleep. This way, she would have the energy to clean up these dregs when she woke up. However, this guy still fell asleep after watching. Lan Luofeng was speechless. How big-hearted was this guy? She looked at the fight on the spectator stand in a daze, then looked at the people around her. She asked Lan Luofeng in a daze, I fell asleep last night? Why didn't you wake me up? Lan Luofeng. Who would dare to scream when you woke up? Hei Xinjiu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It's over, why did she fall asleep? At this moment, Lan Luomu sneered and said, Yin Chujio, only Lan Luoqing and I have a chance to challenge you now. Do you want to fight me or Lan Luoqing first? Yin Chujio. I admit defeat. Lan Luomu sneered and said, Admit defeat? We don't agree with you admitting defeat. You have to fight with us. Yin Chujio wanted to fight with them, but she found that the sky had begun to darken. She looked up and saw a large cloud gathering in the direction of Mount Meru. It was the heavenly lightning. She immediately lost the patience to fight with Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing. She jumped onto the stage and said, You two trash, come at me together. Chapter 4908 Old Fox. Get out here. The moment Yin Chujia's words left her mouth, the entire place fell silent and burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, what a joke. Is this Yin Chujio crazy? Her. 1 versus 2. Don't you know how she won last time? She's overestimating herself. That's right. She probably thinks that she's going to lose no matter what, which is why she said that. I think she's just going through the motions. She'll have to admit defeat after a few moves. What you said makes sense. I think that's also true. Even if the sun rises from the west, it's impossible for her to defeat Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu by herself. Yin Chujio heard everyone's discussion and cursed in her heart. Damn it, why does everyone know her so well? She just planned to go up and randomly make a few moves before rushing to Mount Meru. The heavenly lightning didn't wait for anyone. Lan Luomu pursed his lips. Yin Chujio was dreaming. He and Lan Luoqing had already reached an agreement. She wanted to give up after a few gestures? Impossible. The two of them together with the 4 spiritual beasts could completely block her escape route. She would not even have the chance to jump off the stage. Yin Chujio naturally knew that Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing would not let her give up easily. However, she had the talisman and chili noodles in her hands. It was very easy for her to escape and jump off the stage. This fellow was confident, so he jumped onto the stage with a smile. Just as the 3 of them were about to fight, Elder Ning called Yin Chujio to the side and said in a voice that only the 2 of them could hear. Miss Cousin, the old ancestor just sent a message saying that if you can't win this round, he will send someone to send you to young Master Luochen after the competition and let you cultivate with him. Yin Chujio. What kind of rotten idea is this old fox having? Yin Chujio gritted her teeth. Anyway, she still had talismans and poison. If she planned carefully, she should be able to take care of these 2 dregs. At this moment, Elder Ning raised his voice and said, in this round, the 3 of you are forbidden to use talismans and poison. Yes, chili and pepper noodles are also forbidden. Alright, we can begin. Yin Chujio. Old fox. Get out here. I'm going to kill you. It was clearly only during the family competition that talismans and poison were prohibited. Why was this small competition not allowed to be used? This old fox was doing it on purpose. Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu heard this and looked at each other. They could see the killing intent in each other's eyes. Yin Chujio, you're dead for sure. At this moment, Yin Chujio's heart was like a dog that was bickering. If she did not have the talismans and poison, it would not be too difficult for her to find an opportunity to jump off the competition stage. However, that damned old fox insisted that she win first place. This was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Most importantly, she did not have the time to waste with these 2 dregs. If Wu Yin took advantage of this moment to escape, she would have nowhere to cry. The only reliable method she had now was the curse of the Xiao Hanio. However, she only had 1 chance every day, yet she was facing 2 people. It was too difficult. Just as Yin Chujio was worrying, Lan Luomu and Lan Luoqing had already made their move. The 2 of them knew that Yin Chujio was full of bad intentions, so they immediately launched their killing moves. Their natal spirit beasts and auxiliary spirit beasts all materialized, and the 2 of them also attacked Yin Chujio at the same time. Yin Chujio did not have time to think too much. She hurriedly shot out several small purple needles, and as she dodged, she summoned Cheap Slut number 1 to release her sword intent. Chapter 4909. Yuan Ji 4 Spirit Beasts, Lan Luomu, and Lan Luoqing trapped Yin Chujio. While Yin Chujio was running for her life, most of the people below the stage looked like they were watching a good show. As for Mu Zian and the others, they were gloating. After this competition, even if Yin Chujio didn't die, she would be skinned alive. Anyone with eyes could see that Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu didn't intend to give her a chance to admit defeat. Perhaps, Yin Chujio would die on the competition stage soon. Lan Luoyan was secretly resentful. This bitch cheated her of 100,000 spirit stones. But so what? She was dead for sure. Of course, there were also a few people who were worried about Yin Chujio, such as Lan Luofeng and Lan Dimao. Lan Luofeng was truly worried about Yin Chujio's safety. while Lan Dimeo was more calculating about benefits. He calculated in his heart that if it really did not work, he would have to save her in the end. No matter what, he had to keep her alive. However, he could only act when the situation was critical. Otherwise, the big branch and the second branch would be dissatisfied. In the corner, there was another person who had been paying attention to the situation on the stage. This person was Yuanji. Yuanji's heart was eager for Lan Luoqing and Lan Lumu to kill Yun Chujio. This way, their pavilion master wouldn't have to go crazy over this stinky girl. However, when he thought about the fact that if this stinky girl died, there was an 80% chance that he wouldn't be able to survive, he was extremely conflicted. Should he save her or not? At this moment on the stage, Yun Chujio was already in a perilous situation. If not for her extremely agile movements and the 3 layers of sword intent, she would have died long ago. Even so, she was forced to the point of not being able to retaliate. She could only passively dodge. Yun Chujio saw that the sky was getting darker and darker. She was very anxious. How could she quickly defeat these 2 dregs? Should she use a small flame? However, this way, she would be suspected of the fire in the imperial city. It was too risky. At this moment, He Xinjiu missed Dehua very much. If she had Dehua, she would at least have some time to catch her breath. The Guai Chao in her dantian waved its leaves desperately. In her heart, she cried out silently, "Let me go, let me go, let me go!" Once the Gowei Batsao appeared, who could compete with it? Unfortunately, He Xinjiu had never considered the Gowei Batsao. It was not like she did not let it go last time. But what happened in the end? Being chased around by other people's spiritual beasts, it was simply too weak. He Xinjiu thought of her jinx skill again, desperately shouting in her heart, "Hurry up and use heavenly lightning to chop these 2 bastards to death." However, it was useless. These skills of hers were always active, and sometimes not. It was simply too fucking conniving. If it weren't for the conditions that didn't allow it, she would have taken out a piece of Bodhi leaf and played a song to try it out. This guy gritted his teeth. Forget it. Let's just take out a large kitchen knife and try it out. No matter what, a large kitchen knife should be better than little bitch number 1. Sigh, no matter how many immortal swords there were, they couldn't be compared to a large kitchen knife. When this fellow thought of this, her heart jolted. She seemed to have a skill that she had not used for a long time. That was flying swords. Back then, when she met a strong enemy, she would occasionally use her spiritual sense to control a few flying swords to attack the enemy. The effect was still pretty good. She wondered if the effect would be even more powerful now that she had mastered sword intent. He Xinjiu was now desperate. Moreover, she did not have the time to practice. She simply summoned little slut number 2 to little slut number 9 and floated in midair. Instantly, everyone was stunned. Chapter 49:10. The Forgotten Flying Sword Skill. Oh my god, what? What is Yun Chujio doing? If we include the sword in her hand, she can control 9 swords at the same time? TSK, you're thinking too much. She's just a pompous person. It's impossible for her to control 9 swords at the same time. She's just trying to scare people. That's right. It's impossible for her to use the sword in her hand to maintain the sword intent and command the 8 swords at the same time. If you don't believe me, just watch. In a few seconds, those swords will fall to the ground. Everyone shook their heads at Yun Chujio's behavior. They felt that she was deliberately mystifying things, because no one had ever done that before. Because no matter how powerful a person's spiritual sense was, it was impossible to control so many swords at the same time, let alone use them in a fight. Yuan Ji had heard that Yun Chujio could control many swords at the same time, but he felt that Lan Luochen was exaggerating. After all, in Lan Luchen's eyes, even Yun Chujio's eyelashes were good. Moreover, even if she could control multiple swords, it would depend on the level of the opponent. If the opponent was just an ordinary demon beast, perhaps she only needed to control those swords. But now, she was facing Lan Luoqing and Lan Luomu. This little trick only made people laugh after a meal. Just as Yuan Ji was thinking, he heard the laughter of the crowd. He looked at the stage, and saw the 8 swords that were floating in the air were slapped to the ground by Lan Luocheng and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts. Just as they were about to float, they were slapped down by the spiritual beasts. Lan Luoyan gloated and shouted, "Yun Chujio, don't embarrass yourself here. How can a good-for-nothing like you command so many swords at the same time? Dream on." Lan Luomei also echoed, "That's right. You don't even understand how to use a sword. And you still want to use a flying sword to hurt people? Are you stupid? Ha ha ha." Yun Chujio didn't have the energy to care about their sarcasm. At this moment, she had to use the little bitch number 1 in her hand to protect herself. And on the other hand, she had to mobilize the little bitch number 2 to number 9. "Can you guys fight for me? You are immortal swords, okay? Each and every one of you is drunk, kill them all." The little bitch number 2 to number 9 were also very aggrieved. And it was not their fault. Usually, Hei Shinjio only used the little bitch number 1, so they had no chance to come out. Besides, it was mainly because of Hei Xinjia's spiritual sense. Her own skills were rusty, so why should she rely on them? Shameless. Hei Shinjio also knew this. She had not used her skills for a long time, so it was inevitable that she was a little out of practice. However, she would not be so easily humiliated by Lan Luocheng and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts. She was trying to numb them. She wanted to take advantage of their carelessness to familiarize herself with the operation of the 8 immortal swords. And then she would hit them with one hit. Lan Luocheng and Lan Lumu saw that Yin Chujia's treasured swords had been smashed into pieces by their spiritual beasts, and their faces showed contempt. This Yin Chujio was struggling on the brink of death. She was dead for sure today. Yuanji was speechless. This was the amazing flying sword that their pavilion master had mentioned? Pavilion master, how blind are you? With this level of skill, any random person on the street would be better than her, alright? At this moment, the 8 flying swords that were smashed by the spirit beast suddenly burst out and stabbed towards Lan Luocheng and Lan Luma's vital points respectively. Chapter 49:11. Wake up. Due to the speed of the flying swords, Lan Luocheng and Lan Luma's spiritual beasts could not react at all. They allowed the 8 flying swords to stab at Lan Luocheng and Lan Lumu. The crowd below the stage cried out in surprise. "Oh my god, what happened? Weren't those flying swords still swaying from side to side just now? How did they become so fast now? Could it be that Yin Chujio did it on purpose just now? Just to make Lan Luocheng and Lan Lumu lower their guard? If that was the case, this Yin Chujio was too wicked. She was simply too wicked." Lan Luocheng and Lan Luomu were fighting with Yin Chujio. Even in their dreams, they never thought that the 8 flying swords would suddenly explode. They didn't even have the time to raise their spiritual energy shields. They could only try their best to avoid the vital parts of their bodies and hit the flying swords with the wind of their palms. What shocked them was that the flying swords could actually avoid the wind of their palms. How was this possible? Because they were too shocked. Their movements were inevitably a little slow. Although they avoided the vital parts, both of them were injured by the flying swords to varying degrees. At this moment, Yin Chujio had the little black bird curse Lan Lumu, who was closer to the edge of the competition stage. Lan Luma's leg was already stabbed by the flying swords, and after being cursed by the little black bird, he immediately knelt on the ground. Yin Chujio naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. She flew up and kicked Lan Luomu off the stage. The people below the stage did not have the time to cry out in surprise when they saw the 8 flying swords flying up and down, separating Lan Luocheng's 2 spiritual beasts from him. Yin Chujio looked at Lan Luocheng and curled the corners of her lips. Without the spiritual beasts, Lan Luocheng would not be her match at all, not to mention that he had already been stabbed in the right shoulder by the flying swords. If she was not in a hurry to rush to Mount Meru, she would definitely play a good game with him. What a pity. Yin Chujio shot out several small purple needles at Lan Luocheng. Although the power of these small things was limited, they could divert Lan Luocheng's attention. Lan Luocheng gnashed his teeth in hatred. He really could not understand how Yin Chujio could control 8 flying swords at the same time. This bitch really deserved to die. Just as he was slightly distracted, a flying sword that was originally blocking the spiritual beast suddenly changed direction and shot towards Lan Luocheng's back. Lan Luocheng sensed the movement behind him and subconsciously dodged to the side. Yin Chujiu had already predicted his reaction. She calmly raised her sword and stabbed towards Lan Luocheng's front. Lan Luocheng had no choice but to dodge again, but he forgot that Yin Chujiu had deliberately lured him to the edge of the competition stage. He slipped and fell directly below the competition stage. Yin Chujiu put away her flying sword and looked at Elder Ning, who was already in a daze. She curled the corners of her lips. Elder Ning, wake up. This is the competition stage. Elder Ning. Wake up? He wasn't sleeping. He was scared, okay? He originally thought that the ancestor was deliberately messing with Yin Chujiu. With her cultivation, how could she defeat Lan Luocheng and Lan Luomu in a 1 versus 2 battle? He didn't expect that this little girl could command 8 flying swords at the same time. This was too unbelievable. Although she had taken the advantage of surprise, if Lan Luocheng and Lan Luomu had been prepared, she might not have won. But this was enough to surprise people. No wonder the old ancestor would make such a request. It seemed that the old ancestor had a sharp eye. Elder Ning calmed down a little and then said in a clear voice, "This round, the 3 branches Yin Chujiu wins." Chapter 49:12 was that he was blind. The audience below the stage were all dumbstruck. At this moment, they had also regained their senses. Oh my god, Yin Chujiu actually won? Commanding 8 flying swords at the same time, no 9. Don't forget that she still had 1 in her hands. This was too unbelievable. Mu Xian's expression was very ugly. She had underestimated this slut. Her spiritual sense was actually so strong. So what? In front of her, this little bitch was just an ant. If she wasn't afraid that her cousin would be unhappy, she could kill her with just a finger. Yuan Ji, who was in the corner, decided to take back his words. It wasn't that their pavilion master was blind, it was that he was blind. He didn't expect this troublemaker to have some real ability other than his mouth. Just as Yuan Ji was thinking about it, he saw Yin Chujiu jump down from the competition stage. She held her stomach and said, make way, I'm in a hurry to go to the toilet." Lan Dimeo wanted to praise her, but when he saw this, the corner of his mouth twitched, and he had no choice but to let her leave. Yuan Ji watched Yin Chujiu run away, and could only wait at the same place. He could not follow her to the female toilet, right? However, after a long while Yin Chujiu did not return. At this time, the sky had completely darkened. He pondered for a moment, and guessed that the troublemaker had gone straight to the 3rd room. However, when he returned to Yin Chujiu's courtyard, he found that Yin Chujiu had not returned. Where had she gone? He Xinjiu naturally rushed to Mount Meru in a hurry. When they left the city, the guards at the city gate saw He Xinjiu heading in the direction of Mount Meru. They were puzzled. Could it be that Miss Yin was going to have another drill? This time, they had to be alert at night, so as not to disappoint Miss Yin. Yin Chujiu did not know what the guards were thinking. She flew towards Mount Meru on her flying spirit tool. This fellow was burning with anxiety, afraid that she would not be able to make it in time to be struck. This fellow sighed. She had brought this flying spirit tool from the sky-high continent. Its speed could not be compared to the flying spirit tool of the Lan family's ancestor. If there was a chance, she would have to buy a few high-quality flying spirit tools from the Qing family in the Valley of Fog. When she was close to the edge of Mount Meru, Yin Chujiu remembered that Mount Meru was forbidden from flying. She quickly directed the flying spirit tool to land on the ground and ran towards the depths of Mount Meru. While running, she observed the gathering dark clouds in the sky and was delighted. This time, it was a young girl. The dark cloud from last time was too sneaky. It had run away when she saw Wu Yin at the Zen sect, which had caused her to miss even a bolt of lightning, let alone a cloud wing. Thinking of this, He Xinjiu said arrogantly to Wu Yin in the sky, "Hey, that bastard in the sky, try to strike me if you have the ability." When Wu Yin in the sky heard the provocation, He felt that this little girl below was an idiot. She actually dared to provoke Wu Yin? Was she crazy? It could casually strike a few heavenly lightning bolts and turn her into ashes. Then, after a dozen bolts of lightning, the little girl was still alive and kicking, and her attitude became even more arrogant. Hey, how dare a piece of trash like you float in the sky? You should find a hole to hide in, aren't you too shameless? TSK, who gave you the courage? How dare such a weak piece of trash come out of a cloud? Aren't you afraid of being treated like cotton candy? Chapter 49:13. Another cloud wing was in his hands. Wu Yun was so angry that he was shivering. Lightning struck down one after another, but it did not do anything to He Xinjiu even after more than 2 hours. Wu Yun thought for a moment. The mission that he came here for this time was not this stupid girl. It was more important to complete the mission first. Just when he was about to give up, he heard Yun Chujiu exclaim, "Ouch! I can't take it anymore. I can't hold on any longer. If you strike me 10 more times, I'll definitely die." Wu Yin was immediately overjoyed, and immediately struck He Xinjiu. After repeating this over and over again, when Wu Yun regained his senses, the heavenly lightning that he carried had already been used up, but the wretched girl below was completely unharmed. That was not right. Her hair had already been chopped off. He Xinjiu was overjoyed. Wu Yun was so gullible. It would be even more perfect if she took out another cloud wing. The guy took out a porcelain bottle in pain. Inside was the blood that she had drained in advance to treat Di Biming's cold poison. A sinister smile appeared on her lips. As long as her blood was on the cloud wing would break away from Wu Yun's body and become hers. It was so wonderful. This fellow hid the porcelain bottle in his sleeve, clutched his chest, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he gnashed his teeth and said, "Wang Bayin, just you wait. As long as I don't die, I'm not done with you. Don't think that I don't know that your lightning power has almost been used up. Unless you land very low, there's nothing you can do to me. It's never too late for little Jiu to take revenge. Don't let me see you again, or I'll definitely kill you." Wu Yin in the sky almost laughed like a pig. Is this little girl a fool? She's simply helping it out. What an idiot. Wu Yin immediately descended lower and lower. When it was about 30 feet away from Yun Chujiu suddenly jumped up and threw the fresh blood in the porcelain bottle towards Wu Yin. Wu Yin was shocked and subconsciously rushed to fly higher. Then it tragically saw one of its cloud wings flying towards Yun Chujiu, and it was the kind that couldn't wait. Wu Yin was instantly dumbfounded. What was going on? That was its cloud wings. Why did it feel that the stinky girl was its mother? Oh God. Was he hallucinating? Why did she have a small dark cloud? Although this small dark cloud's level was very low, how could a human control Wu Yun? One had to know that other than Tian Dao, no one could control Wu Yun. This was too frightening. Wu Yun did not have time to think about it carefully. It was too scary. It would never come here again. No wonder number 250 did not come here previously. He even said that he would bring Xian Yun along. Bah! He had tricked her. He Xinjiu saw that Wu Yun was like a wild horse that had gone off the reins. She did not look back and did not chase after him. After a while, Yun Chujiu heard the sound of thunder. She did not pay too much attention to it. It was probably that silly cloud that had randomly struck her. She rolled her eyes, changed out of her clothes, and threw them into a deep pit. Then, she took a disguise pill and headed in the opposite direction of the imperial city. Because her flying spirit tool was brought from the towering sky continent, she was afraid that it would be too eye-catching. Therefore, she went to the nearest city and bought a new flying spirit tool. After changing her appearance again, she headed towards the wilderness. "Little Gigolo, your little cutie is here." Chapter 49:14. Struck by lightning, He Xinjiu was happy, but Yuan Ji was miserable. He waited in the third room for quite a while, but Yun Chujiu did not return. He suddenly felt that something was not right. He hurriedly sent people to investigate. After learning that Yin Chujio had gone to Mount Meru, he also rushed to Mount Meru. However, seeing that Mount Meru was filled with lightning, he did not dare to get too close. He could only wait at the foot of Mount Meru. Although he had not personally seen Yin Chujio being struck by lightning, he had heard from Lan Luochen that normal heavenly lightning would not do anything to Yin Chujio. Moreover, her cultivation method depended on being struck by lightning. Yuanji cursed in his heart. This troublemaker's cultivation method was different from others. What a pervert! He could only curse in his heart as he waited. Finally, when the sky gradually brightened, he was surprised to find that Wu Yin was rapidly descending towards the mountain. However, due to the distance and the cover of the trees, he could not see what exactly happened. Just when he was confused, he saw that Wu Yin was rapidly flying towards him. Behind him was He Xinjiu, who was sitting on the little Wu Yin. Yuanji had heard about the matter of He Xinjiu having a little Wu Yin, but he had always thought that it was a spirit tool, and that it was a rumor spread by He Xinjiu. However, at this moment, he knew with absolute certainty that it was definitely not a rumor, because Mount Meru was a no-fly zone. If it wasn't for the little Wu Yin, it would have been impossible to fly. However, his eyes weren't playing tricks on him, right? Why did he feel that Wu Yin in front of him was running for his life? Oh God, could it be that even Wu Yin was afraid of that troublemaker? Just as Yuanji was thinking about it, he saw that the little Wu Yin had disappeared without a trace. He didn't know if it had landed. He was extremely curious about Yin Chujio's little Wu Yin. Hence, he could not wait to run up Mount Meru, wanting to see that little Wu Yin. However, the Wu Yin in the sky was filled with anger, and had nowhere to vent it. Seeing that Yuanji could not wait to run up the mountain, his heart was filled with hatred. This idiot must be that smelly girl's accomplice. Humph. It could not kill that smelly girl, but it could not kill him. It just so happened that there were still a few heavenly lightning bolts left, so he could use them to strike him. Thus boom! A heavenly lightning bolt struck toward Yuanji. Thus he was struck by this heavenly lightning bolt. Yuanji was simply struck dumb. Who was he? Where was he? What was he doing? Fortunately, his reaction speed was still fast. He quickly activated all the defensive spirit tools on his body, even the defensive immortal tool he used to protect his life. At the same time, he also set up a spirit energy shield. At this time, another heavenly lightning struck down. Yuanji tried his best to jump to the side, and narrowly avoided this heavenly lightning. Wu Yin in the sky was so angry. This idiot actually dared to dodge. Thus, Wu Yin struck the remaining 3 bolts of heavenly lightning towards Yuanji. And it was the kind of heavenly lightning that could bend. The unlucky Yuanji tried his best to dodge, but he was still struck by the 3 bolts of heavenly lightning. Although he had a defensive immortal tool and a spirit tool, he was still knocked out. Wu Yin saw that he was knocked out by himself, so he floated away with satisfaction. 2 hours later, Yuanji finally opened his eyes with a bald lady on his head. He felt that he had nothing left to live for. What did he do wrong? Why was he struck by lightning? Why? When Yuanji thought about how he was so miserable because of Yin Chujio, he immediately rushed up the mountain in anger. In the end, there was nothing but a few deep pits and a few strands of rags. Chapter 49:15. The miserable Yuanji. Yuanji naturally would not think that He Xinjiu was dead. He was not stupid. If he had not seen her chasing after Wu Yun on the little black cloud, perhaps he would have believed it. Now if anyone were to tell him that Yin Chujio was struck to death by lightning, he would definitely beat him into a pig's head. He thought that Yin Chujio had returned to the imperial city, so he changed his clothes. Thinking of his bald head, he could only take out a bamboo hat and put it on his head. However, when he returned to the imperial city, the guards said that they did not see Yin Chujio return to the city. Yuanji gritted his teeth and sent a message to his subordinates, trying his best to find Yin Chujio's whereabouts. He hated He Xinjiu to death. This troublemaker really knew how to cause trouble. Where did she run off to? If she was captured by the Divine Devil Hall, the Pavilion Master would definitely not let him off. After searching for half a day, there was still no news. Yuan Ji was instantly in a dilemma. It's over, this troublemaker is trying to get him killed. Where did she go? At this moment, a subordinate provided a piece of news. Someone had bought a flying spirit tool in Luan City next door. Yuan Ji's eyes immediately lit up. After asking for some details, Yuan Ji immediately concluded that the person must be Yin Chujio. That was because the woman did not bargain at all, nor did she ask about the performance of the flying spirit tool. She directly paid for the flying spirit tool, and was clearly very anxious. Of course, there was another important reason, and that was that the woman also wore a bamboo hat. Yuan Ji immediately went to the shop to ask about the style of the flying spirit tool. However, it was a pity that Yin Chujio bought the most ordinary flying spirit tool, so it was impossible to trace the clues from the flying spirit tool. Yuan Ji had no choice but to send a message to Lan Luochen, but it did not succeed. He was anxious. Where did that troublemaker go? He took out the map and looked at it. He was suddenly shocked. Did that troublemaker go to the wilderness? He had only received the news recently. For nearly a month, the wilderness was not very peaceful. He guessed that the people of the Divine Devil Hall were there to kill Di Baiming. The reason why Yuan Ji was able to receive the news at the same time as the ancestor of the Lan family was because of his connections. However, their pavilion master had been caused a lot of trouble by that troublemaker. If it wasn't for her, their pavilion master would have already soared to the sky. How could he have fallen to such a state? However, how did that troublemaker find out? Could it be that Di Baiming had sent her a message? Yuan Ji curled his lips when he thought of this. That Di Baiming had even said that he would treat that troublemaker well. Since that was the case, why did he tell that troublemaker the address? Wasn't he asking her to send herself to her death? That troublemaker was really blind. Their pavilion master was more than 10,000 times stronger than Di Baiming. Yuan Ji cursed silently as he pondered. The problem now was that the troublemaker had most likely gone to the wilderness. Should he chase after her or not? Honestly speaking, he naturally did not want to chase after her. He wished that Yin Chujio and Di Baiming would be killed by the Divine Devil Hall. However, if he did not chase after her, if that troublemaker died or was captured by the Divine Devil Hall, it would be easy for the pavilion master to spare him. He was afraid that their pavilion master would lose half his life because of his sadness. After struggling for a while, Yuan Ji still decided to chase after Yin Chujio and forcefully bring her back to the imperial city. Just as Yuan Ji was about to set off, a gust of wind coincidentally blew over, and the bamboo hat on Yuan Ji's head was blown off. Chapter 49:16 Your new hairstyle is quite unique. The coolness coming from the top of his head, as well as the eyes of his subordinates and passersby, made Yuan Ji feel terrible. He swore that he had never been so humiliated in his life. He wished that he could find a hole to hide in. He looked at the bamboo hat that was gone for good, and felt that he could not live this life anymore. He gritted his teeth. No matter what, he had to find that troublemaker as soon as possible. Otherwise, if he really let her go to the wilderness, she would be sending herself to her death. At this moment, He Xinjiu, who could be strangled to death by Yuan Ji, was hurrying on her way. After being struck by lightning, her spiritual power level had broken through to the 3rd level of the extreme spiritual realm. Although she was still very weak, this fellow was still quite satisfied. After all, compared to the thunder desolation in the towering sky continent, Mount Meru only had 1 lightning strike a month, which was simply wonderful. When she passed by the next town, she bought 2 more flying spirit tools, and they were slightly different from the first one she bought. As a result, although Yuan Ji's flying spirit tools were faster than Yin Chujio's, they were perfectly missed by Yin Chujio. Of course, this was within He Xinjiu's expectations. That blue dregs made it sound nice, saying that Yuan Ji would protect her. But it was actually to keep an eye on her. Yuanji chased after her for several days, but he still couldn't find He Xinjiu. He was so angry that he was twitching. Did that troublemaker disappear into thin air? He thought about it. Anyway, that troublemaker's destination was the Wild Hope Wilderness. He would wait at the entrance of the Wild Hope Wilderness, waiting for her. 2 days passed in a row, and Yuanji did not manage to stop Yin Chujio. His heart could not help but beat faster. Was he wrong? Was the troublemaker's destination not the Wild Hope Wilderness? Buzz 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 buzz. Yuanji looked at the flying flower belly poison tail spirit bees with some annoyance. For some reason, many flower belly poison tail spirit bees had flown to the Wild Hope Wilderness from other places in the past 2 days. Could it be that some spirit plants were blooming recently? Fortunately, on the morning of the 3rd day, Yuanji blocked He Xinjiu, who had changed her appearance at the entrance. As Yin Chujio applied the modified hair growth pill every day, her hair had recovered to its original state. Yuanji, on the other hand, was in a hurry to chase after Yin Chujio, so he did not have time to buy any hair growth pills. At this moment, her hair was only about an inch long. Yin Chujio, come back with me immediately. Otherwise I won't stand on ceremony. Yuanji said coldly. Uncle, you have the wrong person, He Xinjiu said calmly. No one usually enters the wilderness, so it's useless even if you disguise yourself. If you don't want to make a scene, come back to the Lan family with me immediately, Yuanji said angrily. Yin Chujio shrugged. She didn't expect to fool Yuanji, so she giggled. Yuanji was furious. How did this hairstyle come about? Didn't she know? But when Yuanji thought about it, she really didn't know. He decided to swallow the fact that he had been struck by lightning to avoid being ridiculed by this darn girl. Don't talk about such nonsense. Let me ask you, are you going to leave with us? Yin Chujio spread out her hands. It wasn't easy for me to get here. Naturally, I won't leave with you just like that. How about this? I see that you've brought quite a number of people here. Help me save the pretty boy, and I'll return to the Lan family with you. What do you think? Yuanji was furious. Yin Chujio, are you crazy? We will help you save Di Baiming. I wish that he would be killed by the Divine Devil Hall. Unless he is crazy, I will help you save him. Chapter 49:17. I am little fairy Jiu. Yin Chujio looked at Yuanji, who was smiling coldly, and her smile became even more brilliant. Yuanji, I'm afraid this matter is out of your hands. Look, the people from the Divine Devil Hall have come looking for you. Yin Chujio pointed to the distance with her finger. Yuanji's expression changed. He looked up and saw dozens of people rushing over from afar. The masks on their faces were very familiar. They were all from the Divine Devil Hall. Yuanji's heart sank. The people of the Divine Devil Hall should have surrounded Di Baiming and the others in the depths of the wilderness. Why did they suddenly come here? Could it be that they had spies nearby? That was not right. He had sent people to investigate. There were no spies from the Divine Devil Hall nearby. What the hell? He glanced at Yin Chujio and said in a low voice, I'm warning you. Don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I won't be able to save your life. Yin Chujio nodded obediently. Don't worry. I cherish my life very much. I won't talk nonsense. Yuanji looked at her suspiciously. He was skeptical, but when he thought about how she had changed her appearance now, the people from the Divine Devil Hall might not be able to recognize her. He might be able to fool them if he tried again. At this time, the dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall had already arrived in front of them. The leader of the golden masked men sized up the crowd, and finally, his gaze fell on Yin Chujio. Sir, we are from the Lan family. Our young miss happened to pass by this place when she came out for training. Since your sect has something to deal with here, we won't disturb you, Yuanji said politely. The golden masked man frowned. The Lan family? The purple masked man who was in charge of them had mentioned that the Lan family was still useful to them. He told them not to get into conflict with the Lan family. However, the news he received earlier. He sized up Yin Chujio again. I wonder, Which young miss of the Lan family is this? Just as Yuan Ji was about to casually mention a name, he heard Yun Chujio say with a smile, I am the young miss of the Lan family. I am the fairy of your divine devil hall. Yuan Ji. Good, very good. This was what she said about not talking nonsense. At this moment, Yun Chujio took out a bunch of talismans and 2 big sacks of chili, and threw them at the people from the divine devil hall. As she threw them, she said, Idiot! This is our Lan family's greeting gift to you. Although He Xinjia's talismans were of average quality, there were many of them. No one could withstand so many talismans. Yun Chujio shouted at Yuan Ji. What are you waiting for? Go. If they send a message to their accomplices, we will all die. Yuan Ji was furious. However, he did not have the time to argue with Yun Chujio now. What she said made sense. If they did not kill the dozens of people, they would not be able to escape once reinforcements arrived. It was not that he did not want to explain to these people, but since the troublemaker had done so much, it was useless to explain. Therefore, he gritted his teeth and said to his subordinates, Go! Leave no one alive. Therefore, the 2 sides engaged in a battle. He Xinjiao had calculated the direction of the wind when she threw the chili. The wind was directed at the people of the Divine Devil Hall, so Yuan Ji's subordinates were not affected at all. In addition, the people of the Divine Devil Hall had been tortured by Yun Chujio's talismans, so Yuan Ji's people quickly gained the upper hand. Chapter 49:18. The 10,000-year-old pit. The golden-masked man roared in exasperation. Is the Lan family trying to rebel? Stop it! He Xinjiao hit at the back and shouted with her hands on her hips. Dream on! How can the Lan family be on the same side as the Divine Devil Hall? I was just playing with you. You should know that I have the blood of the Lan family flowing in my veins. The Lan family will naturally stand on my side. Let me tell you the truth. The Lan family and Di Biming have the intention of working together from the inside out. Not only will you all die, the rest of you will also die. A bunch of idiots. The golden-masked man was both angry and anxious. The Lan family was actually on the same side as Di Biming? No wonder the Lan family had not handed over Yun Chujio after so long. How hateful. The golden-masked man did not care much, and immediately passed the news to his companions. On one hand, he wanted them to come and rescue him. On the other hand, he wanted them to be on guard against the Lan family and have the opportunity to settle the score with the Lan family. Yuan Ji was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He wanted to explain, but he did not know where to begin. Was it that Yun Chujio did not have the blood of the Lan family? Or was it that he and Yun Chujio were not in cahoots? But how to explain the current situation? For some reason, Yuan Ji had an ominous feeling that he had fallen into a bottomless pit. Could it be that all of this was planned by this troublemaker? At this moment, Yun Chujio shouted, Little ones, put in more effort. Otherwise, when their reinforcements arrive, our lives will be over. Yuan Ji could strangle her to death with hatred. However, he could not deny that she was right. They had to finish the battle as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer they waited, the more dangerous it would be. Therefore, he and his subordinates stepped up their attacks. He Xinjiao did not stay idle either. She secretly launched a sneak attack with the purple needles, and specifically aimed at the eyes of the people from the Divine Devil Hall. After about an hour, the battle finally ended. Yuan Ji panted and said, Yun Chujio, follow me and leave this place immediately. Otherwise, I will have to take you away by force. Yun Chujio curled her lips. The man with the Jin Mian must have informed the other people from the Divine Devil Hall. If we return to the Lan family now, we will be blocked on the way. It will be a disaster. Give up on that idea. I naturally have a way to avoid the Lan family's block. You leave with me immediately. Yuan Ji shouted sternly, and he planned to make a move and forcefully take Yun Chujio away. The smile on Yun Chujio's face became even more brilliant. Yuan Ji, since you're already involved in this mess, it's not like you can leave just because you want to. To tell you the truth, I've mixed poison into the chili. The poison that only I can cure is already highly toxic to all of you. If you don't want to die, then listen to me. Are you trying to control me and force me to get the antidote? Unfortunately, I'm not afraid of torture. Moreover, are you confident that you can really catch me? Yuan Ji felt his head buzzing. He said angrily, Yin Chujio, you're lying. We're not poisoned. Yin Chujio shrugged her shoulders. If you don't believe me, you can shout a few times and see if you feel dizzy. One of Yuan Ji's men immediately shouted a few times and then said in horror, Sir, I really feel dizzy. I'm really poisoned. When the others heard this, a few of them pulled their necks and shouted a few times. Then they also said in horror, I'm really dizzy. We're really poisoned. Chapter 49:19 was all part of her plan. Yin Chujio, I advise you to hand over the antidote. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Although Yuan Ji still had some doubts in his heart, he still believed Yin Chujio when he thought of her evil schemes. Yuan Ji, do you think that threats are useful to me? You only have one choice now, and that is to listen to me. I promise that as long as I save the gigolo, I will immediately follow you back to the Lan family. Yin Chujio said with a smile. The reason why she dared to lie to them openly was because she was certain that Yuan Ji and the others did not know that shouting for a long time would cause them to be short of oxygen. Moreover, they had fought with the people from the Divine Devil Hall for a long time and had already used up a lot of energy. It would be strange if they did not faint after shouting. Moreover, even if they did not fall for it, she had other ways to make them fall for it. To her, it was a pleasant surprise that Yuan Ji was able to bring his men to catch up to her. Initially, she had wanted to fight alone, but now that she had these helpers, she naturally didn't want to waste them. If Yuan Ji didn't understand Yin Chujio, he might really use force. However, he had interacted with Yin Chujio several times and knew that this fellow was full of bad intentions. If he used force, he was afraid that it would be useless. Yuan Ji was so regretful that his intestines turned green. If he had known earlier, after the Lan family competition ended, he would have watched this troublemaker and not allowed her to leave the city. His expression changed a few times before he gritted his teeth and said, According to the information I know, there are thousands of people from the Divine Devil Hall gathered in the wilderness. Even if we are willing to help you, we will not be able to save Di Baiming. Instead, we will be risking our lives. Yin Chujio narrowed her eyes. So what if there are thousands of people? As long as you listen to me, you will definitely be able to achieve our goal. Also, Yuan Ji, do you think that the Lan family and the Divine Devil Temple will be able to maintain their relationship after this incident? According to the Divine Devil Temple's character, they will definitely take revenge on the Lan family. So, you are not helping me, but you are helping yourselves. Because if you kill one more person from the Divine Devil Temple, you will have one less enemy. Yuan Ji was so angry that he was speechless. He felt that he was not a stupid person, but why was he being held back by this darn girl? As if everything was within her calculations. Yuan Ji, don't worry. I value my life the most, so I won't do stupid things that I'm not sure of. You just need to listen to my commands. Yuan Ji thought about it and agreed. This troublemaker valued her life the most, and she had a belly full of bad water, so she should not act rashly. Moreover, if he could contact the Pavilion Master now, according to the Pavilion Master's personality, she would probably be persuaded by this troublemaker. Therefore, he could only grit his teeth and listen to her. Moreover, he could completely listen to her on the surface. When the time came, he might find an opportunity to kill Di Baiming. Thinking of this, he said, Okay, I'll listen to you. But if you save Di Baiming, you must come back to the Lan family with me. Yuan Ji curled his lips. Surprised. This was obviously a shock. Hei Shinjiu took out the voice transmission talisman of the Lan family's ancestor and said slyly, Ancestor, long time no see. How is your elder? I'm playing in the wilderness. By the way, Yuan-ji helped me kill dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall. And I've told the people from the Divine Devil Hall that the Lan family and my fiancé are playing a trick of cooperating with each other. They are so angry that they are jumping up and down. It's very interesting. Chapter 49:20. The old ancestor who was about to go mad from anger at the same time. A loud bang came from the study room of the old ancestor of the Lan family. The old ancestor smashed the table into pieces with a palm and almost fainted from anger. He also sent people to look for Yun Chujio. But when he found out later that Yuan-ji had brought people to look for Yun Chujio, he did not take it to heart. He thought that Yuan-ji would definitely capture Yun Chujio. But who would have thought that not only did he fail to capture her, he even helped her kill dozens of people from the Divine Devil Hall. Was he a pig's brain? In this way, the peace on the surface could not be maintained, let alone the future deals. He immediately took out his voice transmission talisman and shouted sternly, Yun Chujio, get your ass back here right now. A moment later, Hey Xinjia's giggling voice came from the voice transmission talisman. Old ancestor, I will get my ass back, but I have to kill the rest of the people from the Divine Devil Temple before I go back. I will kill them all. The Divine Devil Temple is in a mess, so they don't have time to find trouble with the Lan family for the time being. Ancestor, I am a member of the Lan family. This is what I should do. You don't have to praise me too much. I will be embarrassed. The ancestor of the Lan family was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Kill the rest of the people from the Divine Devil Temple? As far as he knew, the Divine Devil Temple had sent many people into the Wild Hope Wilderness in recent days. There were at least 3,000 to 4,000 people. Most importantly, these people were elites. She could kill all of them with just the dozens of people that Yuan-ji had brought. Was she dreaming? The old man wearing a mask appeared silently in the study room. Master, what happened? The Lan family's old ancestor gritted his teeth and told her everything, then said, I thought that Yuan-ji was smart, but in the end, he was tricked by that troublemaker. I'm so angry. The old man was obviously shocked. After a long while he said, Master, what should we do now? Yun Chujio and Yuan-ji are not even enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of the Divine Devil Hall. Isn't she courting death? The old ancestor of the Lan family said angrily, Since she is courting death, then let her go. Anyway, the Divine Devil Hall killed her. I will deal with her, and won't find trouble with the Lan family. The old man nodded and then said with some hesitation, Master, what if, I say what if, Yun Chujio really killed those people from the Divine Devil Hall? What should we do next? The old ancestor sneered. Unless there is a red rain in the sky, she can do it. However, the old ancestor thought of the things that happened in the Zen sect. That troublemaker could even trick the Buddha's candle. Perhaps she could really do it? Thinking of this, he added, If she can do it, it's not a bad thing. The elites of the Divine Devil Temple are all in the wilderness. If they are all killed by her, the Divine Devil Temple will more or less be in turmoil. They won't have the energy to find trouble with us for a while. He wanted to use her. Then she would give him a taste of his own medicine. After this incident, even if that old fox wanted to send her to the Divine Devil Hall, the Divine Devil Hall would not believe it. Yuan-ji saw the sinister smile on Yun Chujio's face and touched his hair that was only an inch long. He felt that these days were like a joke. At this moment, Yun Chujio said, Half of you switch your clothes with the corpse. Hurry up. Chapter 49:21. The number one female sword immortal in the world, Yuan-ji, and the others had already boarded the pirate ship, so they naturally had to listen to Hei Shinjio. Thus, Half of them changed into the clothes and masks of the Divine Devil Hall. Everyone had specially marked the masks, so that they would not be accidentally injured by their own people in a chaotic battle. Yin Chujio, what are you trying to do? Yuanji asked, confused. The truth is false, and the truth is the truth. In 15 minutes, reinforcements from the Divine Devil Hall will come. Let's give them a good fight, Yin Chujio said with a smile. Yuanji looked at her with a dumbfounded look. How did you know that someone from the Divine Devil Hall would come in 15 minutes? I know how to predict. This small matter is not difficult for me. Don't talk nonsense. Let's do it like this later. Do you hear me? Yuanji looked at the sinister smile on Yin Chujio's face, and thought to himself, this troublemaker is really despicable. When the reinforcements from the Divine Devil Hall arrived, they saw that both sides had casualties, and were engaged in a chaotic battle. The leader of the golden masked men shouted at Yin Chujio, Yin Chujio, you are courting death. Although Yin Chujio had disguised herself, there was only one woman present. That person naturally recognized He Shinjio. Yin Chujio waved her hand. Immediately, the people of the Lan family jumped to the side and stood behind her. The people of the Temple of Gods and Demons, on the other hand, stood behind the people of the Temple of Gods and Demons on their own accord. The golden masked man had never dreamed that those people were the people of the Lan family in disguise. Therefore, he only glanced at them briefly and did not take them to heart. He glared at Yin Chujio viciously. Yin Chujio, how dare you? You actually dare to come here and behave atrociously. But this is also good, so that we don't have to go through so much trouble to find you. Do you want to surrender? Or do you want to do it the hard way? Yin Chujio sighed. It seems that I have thought too simply. I did not expect that your Divine Devil Hall has so many people here. However, it is also impossible to make me surrender, unless you can defeat me. The golden masked man laughed out loud. Yin Chujio, aren't you afraid that the wind will blow your tongue? You're only at the 3rd level of the extreme spirit realm, but I'm at the 9th level of the extreme spirit realm. Are you sure you want to fight me? Of course I'm sure, unless you're a coward and don't dare to fight me one-on-one. Yin Chujio said provocatively. The golden masked man was instantly angered from embarrassment. If it wasn't for the higher-ups wanting to capture him alive to threaten debiming, he wouldn't have bothered to waste his breath on her. Since she wanted to die, then he would grant her wish. If he could control this bitch, then the others wouldn't have anything to fear. Thinking of this, the golden masked man sneered. Alright then, let's fight one-on-one. Let's do it. Hearing this, Yin Chujio summoned little bitch number 1 and stabbed at the golden masked man's heart. The golden masked man pursed his lips. This Yin Chujio actually used a sword instead of a spiritual beast. Is she crazy? The golden masked man did not dodge, but released his spiritual beast. A huge spiritual wolf pounced at Yin Chujio with bared fangs and brandished claws. Yin Chujio hurriedly withdrew her sword to dodge and shouted, Io, you're really powerful. You actually released a spiritual dog. The golden masked man. Are you fucking blind? Is that a dog? It's a wolf, okay? Jin Mian kept increasing his attacks and forced He Shinjio to retreat. He Shinjio said arrogantly, Do you think I'm afraid of you just because of that? I'll show you what the number 1 female sword immortal in the world is. Although Yuan Ji was very nervous, his mouth twitched when he heard the shameless words of this guy. This troublemaker was really thick-skinned. Chapter 49-22. Kill the Golden Masked Man. And the people from the Divine Devil Hall were also stunned when they heard Yin Chujio's shameless words. The number 1 female sword immortal in the world? Was she still shameless? At this moment, Yin Chujio summoned little slut number 2 to number 9. 8 flying swords suddenly stabbed at the Golden Masked Man's vital points. The people from the Divine Devil Hall cried out in surprise. This Yin Chujio could actually control 8 flying swords at the same time? This spiritual sense was really powerful. Although the golden masked man was also a little surprised, he did not take it too seriously. Although this flying sword was rare, it was definitely not as powerful as a spiritual beast. The two sides once again engaged in a fight. The people of the Divine Devil Hall were all attracted by the fight between Yun Chujio and the golden masked man. The people who blended into the Divine Devil Hall saw Yuan Jie's hand gesture and immediately raised their spiritual shields. Then, they threw all the chili noodles at the people of the Divine Devil Hall. At the same time, they attacked the people of the Divine Devil Temple nearby. The people of the Divine Devil Temple did not expect the backyard to be on fire. Their attention was all on Yun Chujio and the golden masked man. They were almost defenseless. Therefore, in just a short moment, the Lan family had killed dozens of people. It was as easy as chopping vegetables. In addition, their costumes were exactly the same as the people of the Divine Devil Temple. For a time, the people of the Divine Devil Temple could not tell who was the enemy and who was the comrade. Many of them were accidentally injured by their own people. Yuan Ji had his subordinates join in the battle as well. He came over to help Yun Chujio. At this moment, Yun Chujio took advantage of the golden masked man's distraction to sneak attack him with a small flame. The golden masked man's right arm was burned into charcoal by the small flame. Before he could say anything, Yuan Ji, who was behind him, killed him with a palm strike. Yun Chujio and Yuan Ji looked at each other. In this battle, it was either one of them or the other. Although they had their own plans, they were the most reliable comrades at this moment. As the golden masked man was killed, and they were caught off guard, more than 100 people from the Divine Devil Hall were killed by Yun Chujio and the others. Yuan Ji looked at the dead bodies on the ground and felt a little complicated. Did they really win with fewer people and kill all these people? Moreover, not a single person on his side died. His subordinates looked at each other. This battle was the easiest one for them, right? Especially at the beginning, those people from the Divine Devil Hall were like fools, allowing them to plot against them. It was so cool. Yuan Ji, you guys change into the clothes of the Divine Devil Hall too, so that it won't be too eye-catching. As Yun Chujio said that, she put on a set of clothes from the Divine Devil Hall and put on a mask. Yuan Ji asked in confusion, "What use can these corpses be? Why not destroy them?" Yun Chujio glanced at him and said, "Do you have the final say, or do I have the final say? If you continue to dawdle, I will make you bald forever." Yun Chujio said coldly, "Yuan Ji, you are ruthless." Yuan Ji reluctantly put the corpses into his storage ring and asked, "Where are we going next?" "Well, find a safe place to rest first, then. Well, go and kill people." Yun Chujio said coldly. Yuan Ji cursed in his heart. "Are you sure you're going to kill people and not be killed by others?" However, he didn't dare to say it out loud. He followed Yun Chujio with a cold face. Finally, they found a place with low shrubs. Yun Chujio motioned for everyone to sit down and rest. However, a moment later she said, "It's not safe here. Let's go somewhere else." Everyone had no choice but to follow her to another place. However, not long after, they were asked to follow her to another place. Chapter 49:23 Use me as bait. Yuan Ji couldn't take it anymore. "What on earth are you trying to do? Why are you constantly changing locations?" Yun Chujio looked at him, as if she was looking at an idiot. "Of course I'm avoiding the pursuers. Otherwise, do you think I have nothing better to do?" "Avoiding the pursuers? Why don't I see any pursuers?" "Wait until you see them. The daylily will be gone. If you don't believe me, you can go to the place where we stayed and take a look secretly," Yun Chujio said with a pout. Yuan Ji was also infuriated by He Xinjiu. He immediately sneaked back and saw a group of people from the Divine Devil Hall from a distance. He was so scared that he hurriedly ran back and looked at Yun Chujio in disbelief. How? How did you figure it out in advance? Yun Chujio looked like a fraud and said, the secrets of heaven cannot be revealed. A mortal like you should not ask. Yuan-ji. Following that, everyone followed Yun Chujio and kept changing locations, but they were never found by the people of the Divine Devil Hall. Whether it was Yuan-ji or his subordinates, they were completely impressed by Yun Chujio's ability. How on earth did she do it? She was too powerful. Yun Chujio looked at their eyes and was secretly happy. These stupid fools. She was relying on the flower belly poison tail spiritual bees. The reason why she arrived 2 days later than Yuan-ji was to catch these little things in the nearby mountains. With the help of these little things, she knew the whereabouts of the people from the Divine Devil Hall, like the back of her hand. As for why those people at the beginning suddenly ran to the outer area, it was also because she had written many notes to have the flower-belly poison-tail spirit bees thrown into the range of activities of those people from the Divine Devil Temple. According to the degree of hatred that those people from the Divine Devil Temple had for her, even if they would doubt the reliability of the information, they would still come out with the intention of killing 1,000 people by mistake rather than letting one go. That was why Yuan-ji had no choice but to cooperate with her. However, these flower-bellied poison-tail spirit bees could only move around in the outer area of the wilderness. There was no way for them to go in. When the time came, she would have to think of other ways. Thinking of the records she had seen in the wilderness, she could not help but smile. While Yun Chujio was thinking, Yuan-ji said, this is only the outer area, so the Divine Devil Hall only sent a few hundred people to be on guard. Even so, we are not their match, not to mention that there are thousands of people inside. I advise you to follow me back to the Land family. Yuan-ji, there is no turning back, so don't say anything that will hurt the morale. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yun Chujio stared at Yuan-ji and said with a stern voice. Yuan-ji was shocked by the murderous aura on Yun Chujio. He wanted to say something, but he swallowed it. Yun Chujio slowly said, use bait to set up an ambush. Use bait to set up an ambush? Then who should be the bait? Yuan-ji asked. Who else? Yun Chujio pointed at her nose. Yuan-ji was stunned and blurted out, aren't you the one who cherishes your life the most? Why did you take the risk to be the bait? Yun Chujio laughed lightly. Because I'm the most suitable to be the bait, and it's the only way to minimize the casualties. Although we weren't happy in the past, from the moment we worked together, we were comrades. Although I, Yun Chujio, am not talented, I still have the courage and responsibility. Chapter 49-24. Leading the charge. Yuan-ji did not expect Yun Chujio to say such a thing. How could this troublemaker be so responsible? Yuan-ji's subordinates were also stunned. They naturally held a grudge against Yun Chujio. After all, Hei Shinjo had poisoned them. It would be a miracle if they did not hate her. However, after hearing what Hei Shinjo had said just now, they more or less looked at her in a different light. They were all bloodthirsty people who valued loyalty the most. Therefore, they felt that Yun Chujio's ability to use her body as bait had some merits. Yuan-ji looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Seeing that she did not seem to be in a bad mood, he said, then tell us what we should do in detail. Yun Chujio immediately told him her plan. Then she curled her lips. There are about 100 people in the nearest place. Our plan is enough to kill them all. However, we have to finish the battle as soon as possible to prevent the other people from the Divine Devil Hall from coming to support us. Do you understand? Yuan-ji could not be bothered to ask how Yun Chujio knew about the situation. He nodded. Since you are the bait, we will not be vague. Yun Chujio nodded. She was afraid of death, but it did not mean that she did not have the courage and responsibility. Moreover, The best way to boost the morale was to lead the troops. As night fell, Yuan Ji's heart was also worried. He did not know if the plan to stir up trouble would work, so he was not sure. Yun Chujio looked at the time, and then waved her hand. Everyone followed her to the temporary base of the Divine Devil Hall. When they were about 10 miles away from the temporary base of the Divine Devil Hall, Yun Chujio said to Yuan Ji, "There are a little more shrubs here. It's suitable for hiding. You guys can ambush them here. I'll go and lure them over." Yuan Ji nodded and hesitated for a moment. In the end he said, "Be careful." Yun Chujio smiled brightly. "Don't worry. I don't have any other abilities. It's a piece of cake to anger them. See you later." Yuan Ji looked at Yun Chujio's departing figure and shook his head. Then, he arranged for the others to set up an ambush. When Yun Chujio walked about 5 miles, she was discovered by the people in charge of guarding the Divine Devil Hall. Those people were stunned when they saw Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio wore a mask on her face and the clothes of the Divine Devil Hall. Although women were rare among the people of the Divine Devil Hall, it was not unheard of. Therefore they did not attack immediately. Instead they shouted, "Which lord are you under? Why are you here in the middle of the night?" Yun Chujio snorted coldly and gave off a murderous aura. "Who am I? Do you think you can ask me? Call your leader here. Otherwise, if you delay this important matter, I will take your dog lives." The few people were immediately intimidated by He Xingjia's aura. Their hearts were beating fast, but they did not dare to say anything. They immediately sent someone to deliver a letter to their leader. When the golden masked man saw Yun Chujio, he sized her up suspiciously. "Which hall are you from? Why are you here so late at night?" The reason why the golden masked man did not suspect that the person in front of him was Yun Chujio was mainly because he did not expect Yun Chujio to put herself in danger in the middle of the night. Yun Chujio did not know the bullshit entrance of the Divine Devil Hall. She had an idea and took out an identity jade token that she had seized and threw it to the golden masked man. Then she said, "We found Yun Chujio's hiding place and wanted to send you a message, but we were afraid that you would not be able to find the specific location. So our Lord sent me to lead the way for you." Chapter 49:25 was too satisfying. The golden masked man took the jade token from Yun Chujio's hand and looked at it. He still had some doubts, but on second thought, the Lan family only had a few dozen people. Even if there was a conspiracy, they were not afraid. If they could capture Yun Chujio alive, it would be a great merit. Thinking of this, he said, "Okay, then lead the way. If you dare to play any tricks, HMPH. Yun Chujio said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Please return my lord's jade token to me first." The golden masked man threw the jade token in his hand to Yun Chujio. His suspicion towards Yun Chujio was somewhat dispelled. After all, if there was anything wrong with her identity, she would not still think about returning the jade token. Even so, the golden masked man still gave his subordinates a look. Immediately, 7 or 8 people surrounded Yun Chujio in the middle, in case she ran away. Yun Chujio did not show any signs of panic. She was secretly happy in her heart. Initially, she thought that it would take some effort, but she did not expect these idiots to be so gullible. This time, it was much simpler. When they were about to reach the ambush circle, in order to prevent the people from the Divine Devil Hall from noticing the ambush ahead, Yun Chujio began to divert their attention and said, "What do you guys think of that, Yun Chujio?" The people who were watching her could not help but show contempt in their eyes. They said one after another, "What's so great about that smelly girl? She's just a rumor. We will capture her alive in a while." "That's right. We are not like those idiots from the other continents. It's a simple matter to deal with her. As long as we capture her, we can use her to blackmail Debeiming." Speaking of Debeiming, he is really something. We have sent 3,000 to 4,000 people this time. And we have been besieging the wilderness for more than a month, but we still haven't caught him. Yin Chujio was proud in her heart. That was her gigolo wanting to catch him? Dream on. Yuan Ji heard the laughter coming from afar. And then he saw He Xinjiu talking and laughing with those people. He was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? Were those people from the Divine Devil Hall blind? Could it be that they didn't recognize the troublemaker as Yin Chujio? Seeing that they were about to enter the ambush, Yin Chujio pointed to the sky and exclaimed, "Oh my god, look, what is that?" Everyone subconsciously looked up. Yin Chujio took the opportunity to leap forward and threw 2 big sacks of chili noodles to them. The people from the Divine Devil Hall were caught off guard. Some of them were choking and crying. The golden masked man finally realized what was going on and shouted, "She is Yin Chujio. She is that bitch Yin Chujio. Chase after her." The reason why he was so sure was naturally because of the chili noodles. They did not go far before a lot of rapeseed oil was thrown at them from the surrounding bushes. Following that, flames soared into the sky and countless chili peppers were thrown. The people of the Divine Devil Hall were in a panic. In addition to the fact that the ground was very slippery after being splashed with rapeseed oil, many of them were tripped by their companions and fell to the ground. What made things worse was that countless talismans were thrown at them. For a moment, the screams of the people of the Divine Devil Temple could be heard. In less than an hour, all the people of the Divine Devil Temple were killed. Yuan Ji's side did not even have a scratch, let alone a dead person. Everyone looked at each other. How could war be played like this? It was too fucking satisfying. Chapter 49-26. Miserable buttface Yuanjie's mood was a little complicated. The biggest contributor to this victory was naturally that troublemaker. She was the one who came up with the scheme and used herself as bait. She was the one who provided the chili noodles. She was the one who provided the rapeseed oil. And she was also the one who provided the talisman seal. They had only put in a little effort. Just as he was about to say something, Yin Chujio shouted sternly, "Retreat. Quickly retreat. The flames here will soon attract people over. We must evacuate as soon as possible." Yuan Ji and the others did not dare to be negligent. They immediately followed Yin Chujio and quickly retreated. A moment later, a team from the Divine Devil Hall rushed to the scene. There were 300 to 400 people in this team. The leader of the team, Jin Mian, stared at the dead bodies on the ground with a gloomy gaze. Then he released a spirit beast that looked like a dog. The spirit beast sniffed around, and then chased in a direction that was the direction where Yin Chujio and the others had previously left. The golden masked man revealed a cold smile. Amir Yin Chujio actually wanted to stir up trouble? She really overestimated herself. Yin Chujio, who was leading the group to retreat, could not help but feel her heart sink when she received the report from a few flower-belly poison-tail spiritual bees. With that spiritual beast, their whereabouts would be exposed. They had to think of a way. Yuan Ji, is there any spiritual beast that looks like a dog but has a very sensitive sense of smell that is good at tracking? Yin Chujio asked. Yuan Ji saw that Yin Chujio's expression was not too good, and he immediately had a guess. "You're saying that the people chasing us have the Shao Tian hyena? If that's the case, then it's bad. It's rumored that the Shao Tian hyena has the Shao Tian dog's bloodline. Its sense of smell is extremely sensitive, and it can be tracked by just a little smell." Yin Chujio frowned. "Shao Tian hyena? What's its weakness?" "Weakness?" Yuan Ji thought for a moment. He said, "It seems that this kind of Shao Tian hyena is mostly female. Therefore, it is very fond of high-level dogs or wolf-type demon beasts. Once it encounters a male dog or wolf-type demon beast, it will lose its mind." Yin Chujio. So it's a love-struck dog. Buttface, who was in the spirit beast bag, suddenly shivered for some reason. He had a bad feeling. At this moment, he heard Yin Chujio's malicious voice. "Buttface, you are finally useful. Buttface immediately rolled his eyes and fainted. He would rather be a single dog for the rest of his life than hook up with a love-struck dog. No. Yin Chujo pulled Buttface out. Before she could say anything, Buttface knelt on the ground with tears streaming down his face. Yin Chujo touched her nose guiltily. Buttface, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I just want you to lure the hyena into the trap. Do you have to be so agitated? Buttface. So it was just a seduction. It scared him to death. He thought he was going to make him contribute his pure flesh and body. Little fairy, I'm an ancient fierce beast after all. Such a shameful thing is not suitable for me. I think you can find a male wolf's body for Chiang, and let him have a try, said Buttface while blinking his dog eyes. Yin Chujo glared at him and said, Stop talking nonsense. If I tell you to go, then go. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson. Chapter 49:27 The beautiful dog trick. Buttface whimpered. Little fairy, I'm still a child. Is it really good for you to treat me like this? Yin Chujo snorted coldly. Stop pretending to be young. Don't you know how old your core is? Buttface only felt that he had suffered a critical hit of 10,000 points. He said with a face full of shame and anger. No matter how old my core is, I've never hooked up with a female before. I don't know how. Humph. Don't think that I don't know that you have read a lot of Meng Yanxi's books. If you continue to waste your time, I will make you sell your body. Yin Chujo said coldly. Buttface's body trembled. He said with a grievance, All right, I will try, but I can't guarantee that I will succeed. Yin Chujo narrowed her eyes. Your mission is to lead that love-struck dog in a circle. After we set up the trap, you will lead that love-struck dog and the people from the Divine Devil Hall into the ambush circle. Dog 2 knew that there was no turning back, so it could only droop its head and seduce the Xiaotian hyena. The Xiaotian hyena was searching for Yin Chujo and the others on the ground when its eyes suddenly rippled. It smelled a strong scent of a male, and it was a very high-ranking male. The Xiaotian hyena immediately forgot about its original mission and began to chase after the scent of Dog 2. The golden-masked man didn't know that Xiaotian hyena was a nymphomaniac. Seeing its speed suddenly increase, he thought that it was very close to Yin Chujo and the others, so he hurried to chase after it with his men. Unfortunately, he didn't see anyone until the next night. Sir, why do I feel that we are going in a circle? Is there something wrong with this Xiaotian hyena? One of his men asked suspiciously. The golden-masked man shook his head. The Xiaotian hyena is the spiritual beast with the most sensitive sense of smell. Nothing will go wrong. That Yin Chujo is full of tricks. Perhaps she is deliberately going in circles with us. Don't worry. We haven't rested, and they don't have time to rest. We have 10 times more people than them. No matter what tricks they have, it will be in vain. The subordinate didn't say anything more. Indeed, there was a huge difference in strength between the two sides, so there was no need to worry. Buttface had never been so miserable before. He was running so fast that his legs were about to break. However, when he thought about the possibility of losing his virginity, if he was chased by that infatuated dog, he could only continue to run in circles with all his might. Finally, he heard Yin Chujo's voice, which sounded like the voice of a goddess. Lure them to me. Buttface immediately ran to where Yin Chujo was, afraid that if he was half a step slower, he would be caught by the hyena. Yin Chujo nodded, put Buttface into the spirit beast bag, and then laid in ambush. At this moment, Yuan Ji and the others were a little uncertain. Last time, they were faced with more than 100 people. They had won with a strategy, but this time, it was said that there were 300 to 400 people. Would it work? 15 minutes later, Xiaotian hyena rushed over with the people from the Divine Devil Hall. Xiaotian hyena's hair stood on end. It was already irritated by Buttface's walk. It smelled that the smell here was stronger than other places. It immediately rushed over, followed by the golden-masked man and the others. Under the cover of the night, this wasteland was no different from other places. The ground was full of short weeds. Even if someone wanted to ambush them, there was no place to hide. Therefore, the golden-masked man was completely unprepared. Chapter 49:28. Chase me boom. The ground suddenly caved in, and the ground was filled with poison blades, as well as the flying chili powder and soul-devouring powder. Before the people of the Divine Devil Hall could react, an indescribable talisman was thrown at them. Although some of them had instantly set up their spiritual energy shields, when they felt that the situation was not good, when they stepped on their companions' corpses, and jumped to the edge of the trap, they were stunned to find that their feet were stuck. Hei Shinjio released the purple needles and lightning, while she was secretly happy. These were the strengthened sticky threads that she had gotten from the wool ball. They would not die from the sticky threads. The golden-masked man was both shocked and furious. He shouted, "Don't panic. We have more people than them. Even if they are tired, they will die from exhaustion." After all, the cultivation of the people of the Divine Devil Hall was not low. Although the traps had caught them off guard, only a small part of them had been used up. The remaining 200 people were still several times more than Yun Chujio and the others. At this moment Yun Chujio shouted, "The wind is too strong." Immediately, Yuan Ji and the others followed Hei Shinjio and ran away. The golden-masked man naturally would not let them run away just like that. He chased after them with his men in exasperation. When Yun Chujio saw a bush marked in front of her, she smiled evilly and gestured to the others. Everyone understood, and immediately spread out to prevent the heavy weight from triggering a trap. The golden-masked man, and the people from the Divine Devil Hall, did not know that there would be a trap here. When they saw that Yun Chujio and the others had passed through safely, they immediately chased after them without any preparation. Then they were doomed. The weight of so many of them was enough to trigger a trap, and they immediately lost dozens of people. The golden-masked man was so angry that he was about to explode. This Yun Chujio was indeed cunning. However, time was limited, so he did not believe that there was a third trap. Yuan Ji ran as he asked Yun Chujio, "What should we do next? They still have more than 100 people, and we still can't beat them. Split up and kill them. Well, move separately, and their main force will definitely chase after me. You guys are responsible for killing the part of people who are chasing you, and then go and save me." Yun Chujio said. This, Yuan Ji hesitated for a moment, but the situation was urgent, so he did not have the time to say anything. After thinking about this troublemaker who was full of bad ideas, there should be no problem. Immediately, he led his men and ran in the opposite direction of Yun Chujio, while Yun Chujio ran in another direction alone. After all, Yun Chujio was their target. Hei Shinjio felt that she was a little tired, so she simply released puppet number 4 and ran forward with her on his back. This guy hooked his finger at the golden-masked man. "Idiot, you want to kill me? Dream on." Jin Mian was so angry that he almost died. He followed closely behind. As time passed, the distance between the two grew larger and larger. After all, puppet number 4 did not know that fatigue could keep him running. However, the people from the Divine Devil Hall could not do it. They had been walking by butt-face for so long, and after 2 rounds of fighting, how could they catch up with puppet number 4? Just as the Jin Mian man was about to give up, he did not expect Yun Chujio to put away the puppet and beckon with her finger at them. "Chase me. Come and chase me." The Jin Mian man was so angry that he could not care less about why Yun Chujio was courting death. He immediately led his men to chase after her again. Chapter 49:29. I'll deal with 30 by myself. The people of the Divine Devil Hall ran all the way from dark to dawn, but they still couldn't catch up with Yin Chujio. Instead, they were so tired that they were panting. Hei Shinjio stood not far away from them, gnawing on a spiritual fruit as she said with a smile, "Let's go after them." "Why aren't we going after them?" Jean Mian was so angry that she almost died. From time to time, she could use a puppet as a means of transportation, and she could even take a nap in the middle of the journey. However, they were running all the time. Even cultivators couldn't stand it. Yin Chujio saw Yuan Ji and the others who had rushed over not far away. She curled the corners of her lips and threw the fruit core in her hand away. "Come, I won't run this time. Let's spar." The golden masked man also saw Yuan Ji and the others. His heart sank. Could it be that the people he had sent were all killed? However, they still had more people left than the other party. It was not certain who would win. Yuan Ji heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Hei Shinjio jumping around. They had the talismans and poison powder that Yin Chujio had given them. Although they had spent some effort, they still managed to kill the pursuers. However, he was still uncertain. The other party still had nearly twice as many people as they did. They might not have a chance of winning. Yin Chujio, Yuan Ji, and the others gathered together and said faintly, "Take off your clothes now. Take off your masks." Yuan Ji and the others were completely dumbfounded. What did they mean? Could it be that this troublemaker was coveting their beauty? At this time, there was actually such a playboy. Seeing that they didn't move, Yin Chujio stared at them and said, "If you don't want to die, then quickly take off your masks." Yuan Ji gritted his teeth. Now was not the time to think about other things. Moreover, his pavilion master looked so devastatingly beautiful. But he didn't see this troublemaker being moved. They were even less worthy of her attention. He immediately took off his mask and coat, leaving only a set of undergarments. Seeing that Yuan Ji had taken off his clothes, the others had no choice but to do as he said. The golden masked man and the people from the Divine Devil Hall panted heavily as they watched. They thought to themselves, "What kind of trick is this?" However, it was a good opportunity to recuperate. It was too tiring. Seeing that Yuan Ji and the others had taken off their outer clothes, Yin Chujio said heroically, "I'll deal with 30 by myself. You guys split the rest." 30. She could even deal with 3 by herself. Just as Yuan Ji and the others were thinking that Yin Chujio was spouting nonsense, they saw a black fog rapidly moving towards them from afar. Everyone was shocked. What was that? When the black fog got closer, everyone realized that it was hundreds of flower-bellied poison-tailed spirit bees. But why did these flower-bellied poison-tailed spirit bees come here? Yin Chujio narrowed her eyes and waved her claws. "Little babies, kill them." The flower-bellied poison-tailed spirit bees immediately rushed towards the people of the Divine Devil Hall. They only recognized clothes and not people. The female devil had said that anyone wearing a mask would be killed. Although the flower-bellied poison-tailed spirit bees were of a low grade, they could not withstand the large number of them. Moreover, they could fly. Moreover, their stingers were highly poisonous. The people of the Divine Devil Hall were really unlucky. On one hand, they had to deal with Yuan Ji and the others. On the other hand, they also had to guard against the sneak attacks of the flower-bellied poison-tailed spirit bees. On top of that, they had exhausted their physical strength. Very quickly, they fell into a disadvantageous position. An hour later, all the people from the Divine Devil Hall were killed. Yuan Ji looked at the swarm of bees surrounding Hei Shinjio, and the doubt in his heart was finally solved. So she didn't know how to calculate anything, but it was because of these little things. Chapter 49:30. Do you have any face? Just as Yuan Ji was in a daze, Yin Chujio curled her lips. What are you standing there for? Why aren't you putting away the bodies of these people? Oh right, Put on your clothes and masks again. If you don't feel embarrassed, I feel embarrassed. After all, my face is so thin. Do you have any face? After everyone was done packing up, Yuanji looked at the swarm of bees and said, "The reason you were able to predict the movements of the other party earlier was because of those flower abdomen poisonous tail spirit bees?" Yin Chujio nodded. "Yes, if it weren't for those little things, we wouldn't have been able to go so smoothly." Yuanji was even more puzzled. Demonic insects were different from demonic beasts. Adult insects could not form a contract. Only insect eggs could form a contract. How did this troublemaker do it? He did not ask. He knew that even if he asked Yin Chujio, she would not tell him. At this moment, one of his subordinates said excitedly, "Oh my God, I just did some calculations. We have already killed 500 to 600 people from the Divine Devil Hall. We have less than 40 people in total, but we have actually killed so many people. This is too amazing." Yuanji did some calculations. Moreover, it had only been a few days. Most importantly, apart from a few of them who were more seriously injured, the rest of them only had minor injuries. If this were to be revealed, no one would believe it. Yuanji looked at Yin Chujio with a complicated expression. It seemed like it was not unreasonable for their pavilion master to like this troublemaker. This troublemaker's brain was really good. However, when he thought of the things that he was about to face, a hint of worry appeared on his face. "We are about to enter the hinterland of the wilderness of wild hope. The rank of those flower-bellied poison-tail spirit bees is too low. I'm afraid that they won't be able to survive in the hinterland. In this way, we won't have any helpers to inform the others. Moreover, we have basically killed all the people in the periphery. The people in the hinterland must have already received the news. I'm afraid that they have already set up a trap and are waiting for us to enter." Yin Chujio nodded. "You're right, so we have to be very careful from now on. Everyone is very tired these 2 days. Let's go to another place to rest for half a day before we set off." Everyone was indeed very tired. They immediately found a safer place with Yin Chujio and began to rest. "Yuanji, you are so greedy that you have become a flower." No wonder he had asked him to put away all the corpses. However, he did not dare to say much, so he could only keep watch while taking out the rings. After Yin Chujio woke up, she looked at the pile of rings and smiled happily. Yuanji pursed his lips. He was really poor to the point of going crazy. Yin Chujio sent her spiritual sense into the rings one by one, leaving behind the talismans and pills that she had never seen before for future research. She distributed the rest of the talismans and elixirs to everyone, and even divided the spirit stones inside equally. Yuanji was completely dumbfounded. It was raining red? This iron rooster had actually plucked feathers? Yin Chujio tossed a spirit stone in her hand and said, "If you have money, everyone will be rich. As long as you follow me, I will definitely not mistreat you." Only then did Yuanji understand that this fellow was actually trying to buy people's hearts. How insidious. Those subordinates did not care whether Yin Chujio was trying to buy the hearts of the people or not. The spirit stones that they obtained were real. Therefore, their enmity towards Yin Chujio had weakened quite a bit. Yuanji sighed in his heart. He reckoned that when he met Di Biming, these subordinates would become the people who caused trouble. Chapter 49:31. Keeping your mouth shut. Just as Yuanji was thinking about it, he suddenly stood up and looked into the distance. Yin Chujio also sensed that something was approaching. She was puzzled. They were still at the periphery of Wild Hope Wilderness. If there were still remnants of the Divine Devil Hall, those flower-bellied poisonous tail spirit bees would have notified her. Why was there no movement? At this moment, Yin Chujio's pupils constricted. Because she had already seen clearly, that it was not the people of the Divine Devil Hall who came, but it was the Shao Tian hyena. Previously, everyone was busy fighting with the people of the Divine Devil Hall, so no one paid attention to where the Shao Tian hyena went. They did not expect it to chase here. The Shao Tian hyena's body was full of dust. It was staggering as it walked. No one knew if it was injured or too tired. The Shao Tian hyena whimpered at Yin Chujio. Yin Chujio could hear some sadness from its whimper. Yin Chujio sighed in her heart. This love-struck dog was too infatuated with Buttface, wasn't it? It actually chased it all the way here? She looked at Yuan Ji, who was also dumbfounded, and asked, Yuan Ji, is this Shao Tian hyena so infatuated with all the males? Yuan Ji shook his head. It is said that this hyena is very romantic before it finds a male that it likes. But once it finds a target, it will be faithful. I think this hyena is most likely interested in your spiritual pet. Otherwise, if its master died, it would be eager to regain its freedom. Why would it chase after you here? Yin Chujio nodded in a daze and said to the hyena, Well, I admire your courage, but you are too blind. Buttface is not as wise and mighty as you think. He is still a puppy. The hyena whimpered again. It probably meant that it did not believe it. Yin Chujio felt that it was necessary to let Dog 2 out, so that the Shao Tian hyena would give up on this idea. Therefore she let Dog 2 out. Dog 2 had a look of disdain on its face. How could a mere Shao Tian hyena dare to dream about its ancient fierce beast? It didn't want its dog face. The Shao Tian hyena was also stunned when it saw Dog 2. This had nothing to do with its original imagination of being tall and mighty. Shao Tian hyena immediately turned around and left. It didn't like a puppy at all. When Buttface saw Shao Tian hyena leaving just like that, he immediately exploded in anger. Ayo, what a superficial female. Humph. Yin Chujio blinked her eyes. The Shao Tian hyena's sense of smell was quite sensitive. It would be good if it could be taken as its own. Moreover, Yuan Ji said that the Shao Tian hyena had the bloodline of the Shao Tian dog. Perhaps with a mutation, she would be rich. Therefore she said with a smile, Hey, why don't you follow me? I promise to help you find a male that is 10,000 times stronger than Buttface. You can have as many as you want. Besides, although your sense of smell is sensitive, you don't have any other abilities. You might not be able to survive in the wilderness. Shao Tian hyena hesitated for a moment. The wilderness was indeed not suitable for it to survive. Moreover, this little girl seemed to understand its thoughts, so it was not bad to follow her. After hesitating for a moment, Shao Tian hyena still signed an equal contract with Yin Chujio. Buttface stared at the hyena and snorted in his heart. This female said that she despised it, but in the end, she gave up her freedom to stay by its side. What a liar. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.